Hello everybody, and welcome back to Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten, the show where 5 DMs take on D&D's top Gothic horror campaign. I'm Dragna Carter, your host and DM, and it is lovely to have you all here today. A quick bit of bad news, sadly, or perhaps not bad, but news all the same. We will be away next week due to the fact that it's summer, something that unfortunately is never true in Barovia. And so I'm sure we will miss you all very much.
We will.
Wait, I'm kidding.
Unfortunately, that does mean that in the time when we will all be enjoying our beach episode, the Twice Bitten cast will completely fail to enjoy a beach episode of their own. So,
We're gonna wear Dracula capes to the pool in unison, in solidarity.
Are you sure we can't have a beach episode in game?
Please.
I'm gonna be in
didn't
Mexico.
I'll tell you what, ask me again when we do Rime of the Frost Maiden, and you can bathe in a sheet of ice. How's that?
Yeah, on it.
Perfect.
All right, I will
All
build my character around that, promise.
Oh, God. Alright, well, I have no one to blame but myself. Let's power forward. Alright, well, thank you all. I think we're about ready to get jumping in, so let's get started with Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten. And welcome back, everyone. So, last we left off on Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten. Our companions found themselves at the decrepit, run-down manor of Argynvostolt, exploring its unhallowed and seemingly abandoned halls for any secrets or allies that they could wield in the battle against Strahd. As they did, they encountered several revenants within, including a former knight of the Order of the Silver Dragon named Sir Godfrey Gwillem, and the commander of the revenants, Sir Vladimir Horngard. Though they learned that they could rely on no aid or assistance from the revenants in the fight against Strahd, they were entreated by the spirit, seemingly, of the dragon Argynvost, founder and former patron of the Order of the Silver Dragon, to restore his bones to their sacred resting place at Argynvostolt's mausoleum. After a long and challenging encounter with some phantom warriors, spirits remaining of the original Order's members, the companions made their way back to the Blue Water Inn in Vallaki. Upon arriving there was a controversy of sorts, a series of conversations as several members of the party discussed certain tactical decisions that had been made and at times overstepped their bounds onto painful memories. Though the members of the party did their best to mend over wounds that had been created in the course of these interactions and began planning for what was to come. At that same time, after the series of conversations accompanied by a watchful bat, the group ultimately returned to the tap room to join the Marta Cubs for dinner and a special treat, as Erthrindir and Erwin emerged from the kitchen, bearing a cake in celebration of Amity's birthday. The festivities, however, were soon interrupted as there came a knock at the door, and Strahd himself, waiting outside. And so, we return. Kiva, as you stand in the entryway of the Blue Water Inn, looking out at the man standing tall on the other side of the entryway, Strahd looks down upon you, his eyes glinting. You actually, for a moment, see a spark there, a reddish glow beyond the mere shine of his crimson irises, and recognize in there the same burning, almost hypnotic flame you saw flickering there, outside the Baron's house in Kresk. You feel yourself losing your sense of self in those deep, burning red, flickering eyes, and then his gaze shifts. Please, forgive me the interruption. It would seem I'm intruding upon a special occasion. You watch as his gaze lingers on the cake for a moment, and then shifting toward Lillison, his smile curling faintly upward. A celebration of a new romantic entanglement, perhaps.
Kiva just looks really excited and sort of elated that he's there, and turns around and just says, it's Amity's birthday today. It's really nice of you to come. We've had a crazy, crazy day.
I can imagine so. You certainly lead quite the lively lives. He hears someone else speaking. Was that Lillison?
Yeah. Lillison glances over to Kiva with like a bit of a look of panic. She stands up, making sure not to look straight into Strahd's eyes, and dips him a very deep curtsy, and says, Lord von Tsarevich, it is very considerate of you to look in on our unworthy selves. What may we do for you?
Well, I must confess that it is always my pleasure to visit such social gatherings of my subjects, especially when there are such events to be celebrated. He looks toward each of you in turn. My congratulations to one of your member on what I have gleaned from our dear Baroness Voctor. It seems that some congratulations are in order, wouldn't you agree? He looks toward Erthrendir.
Aerith has been focused on Kiva, his eyes just in the mental calculation of panic, but the moment Strahd looks at him, he frantically shifts his gaze away. I think that as pleasant as all this is, you have a reason for being here, and in all likelihood it means that one of us is about to be in quite a bit of pain, so would you mind skipping the pleasantries? I know you do like to hear yourself talk.
Kiva just shoots Erthrendir a look, and is like, why are you being so rude?
Lillison also shoots Erthrendir a look, for the same reasons, but different underlying reasons.
Kiva just looks up at Strahd, and it like gives a sort of apologetic, like, I'm sorry about him. If you need to go talk, maybe we can go talk somewhere,
or maybe you can come in. You know, we're just having a party here. Yeah, you can't eat cake.
Metreon!
Oh, he's a party. I mean, listen, he's coming in the spirit of peace, right, Mr. Zarevich?
Amity is counter-charming through muffled, continually eating cake.
Once Metreon says those words, Kiva would reach out and take Strahd's arm if he would allow it to, like, pull him inside. Like, once the invitation's been given, she's like, oh, yeah, like, fuck it.
Strahd inclines his head. How generous of you. I graciously accept. And as he steps over the threshold, there's a glint in his smile, and you can see as the reddish glow slowly fades from his eyes, leaving them their familiar dull crimson. But believe me, I have business of my own to attend this evening, and I assure you this is a brief social call, nothing more. But you are correct that I have my own purpose for attending. Though I must say that the hospitality of the esteemed Blue Water Inn is always a pleasure to enjoy.
Oi, Erwin, Danica, you got an extra plate for this man?
Erwin and Danica have wide eyes, very studiously trying to avoid looking at Strahd. Erwin whispers something in Danica's ear, and Danica immediately says in a low voice, "Children, upstairs please, to your rooms." Immediately, Dag and Stefania begin standing up, pushing their chairs away, keeping their eyes away from Strahd, and gesturing around to the children, including Brahm and Bray, and begin ushering them away from the table.
While that's happening, Kiva would offer Strahd her chair to sit down if he would like it.
He holds up a hand, shaking his head. No need, my dear. As I mentioned, I'm here only for a brief time. But as your friend mentioned, it is, well, perhaps fortuitous that we should be on such fine terms this evening. You see, I heard recently from my friends in Vallaki that you, addressing Kiva, recently showed quite the ferocious display, and with a new toy, no less.
Oh, she looks touched that he noticed or cares to inquire about it. But just says, well, yeah, actually, and she will, this is so stupid. She's gonna pull out the sun sword and turn it on.
Oh, don't turn it on. You know that'll hurt him.
Well, it's not. She's already done it, so she's very stupid, and she's trying to impress him. So, and not thinking. So yeah. Oops.
As you do, Strahd inspects the blade briefly. You watch as the light burns around him with a radiant glow, and his skin begins to glimmer with a brilliant scarlet red. You can watch almost as a small wisps of steam and smoke begin to rise from his pale flesh, instantly healing over and regenerating.
Oh my god! She'll turn it off when she notices that and like tuck it back away.
As soon as you make the move to turn it off, you hear a roaring defiance in the back of your mind, a sense of rage and anger and hatred as the sun sword bursts into the back of your thoughts. You feel a sense of confusion, anger at betrayal, and an inexorable force pushing against your will. As you move to turn off the sun sword, I will need you to make a charisma check, please.
Yes!
It's happening.
Oh my god.
Charisma check or a save?
Charisma check, please. Just a standard charisma check.
That's an 8.
As you do, you feel the sun sword's will beginning to overpower yours. In that same moment, you feel the influence upon your mind. You feel the desire that you had to obey Strahd's simple request begin to fade and flicker. Although, for some reason, as you look at Strahd and his comforting smile, you cannot help but feel a deep sense of trust, a willingness to listen to him. And at the same time, you feel this forceful push in the back of your mind as you feel this sense of stubbornness and defiance and a will to keep burning. You feel unmistakably that the Sun Sword wants to stay on. At the same time, you feel the overwhelming power of Strahd's own forceful request, overlaying every thought in your mind. Do you obey Strahd's request, or do you keep the Sun Sword out?
Did he make a request?
Did he tell her to put it away?
He asked you to put it away. The Sun Sword said do not. But you are charmed by Strahd.
Is there a roll that I have to make to see which one I listen to, or is this like a personal choice?
You're charmed by both.
Fuck! That's ridiculous.
No, you are not, you are not currently charmed by the item. It is an opportunity to make a demand to you. And it is making its demand now. But you are still charmed by Strahd.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that because she's charmed by Strahd, she's not thinking right. I hope this doesn't, like, break her relationship with the Sun Sword.
Is Amity's counter charm taking effect?
Amity
Not
is
yet.
counter charming. Continuously. She's also, by the way, going to start rolling on the spirit table.
Good plan.
Alright, love it.
Okay. She's gonna put it away. I feel like Strahd's influence is stronger than the Sun Sword in her mind.
Alright, as soon as you begin to stow it, you feel a sudden glimmering of radiance, and then an oncoming tide, a tsunami of brilliant light, as you feel the mind of the Sun Sword attempts to flood across your consciousness, overriding your will entirely. I need to make you to make a charisma saving throw for me, with advantage because of that counter charm.
19!
You
feel like right?
a wail of sorrow in the back of your mind as this nova of light and defiance goes dark. And you put the Sun Sword away.
Oh god, did she just permanently fuck that up? Oh, that's gonna be upsetting. Whatever, she can reattune, I think. Yeah, she'll, put it away, tuck it back in where she keeps it, and just sort of reach out to Strahd and, like, sort of like she did after the first bite attack, like, check that he's okay, sort of like, you know, that sort of thing. Check that he's okay and just apologize profusely, almost like bowing down in sort of embarrassment.
Strahd shakes his head, smiling. Please, do not feel the need to apologize. I appreciate your willingness to share the treasure that you seem to have found. Why, given the description of your deeds the previous evening, I simply had to see it for myself.
Mitron leans over as Amity is, I suppose she's singing, or telling a story, and he goes, I told her not to turn it on, silly goof.
You're proud of me, then?
Oh, but of course, how could I not? If you wouldn't mind, such a weapon is difficult for any to master. I would be most intrigued to inspect it more closely.
Wait!
What?
Earth pushes his chair back. I'm sorry, Kiva, but before he does that, I've had a hell of a day. And I know holding that thing makes you feel really lovely. I'm sorry, but could you let me have it for a moment? I'll give it right to him, I promise. I've been real, after everything we've gone through, I just need that light for a minute.
I don't know, is this something that, like, I don't know how charming it is, so I just wanted, like...
Yeah, can I see if he's telling the truth? Because
Yeah. Yeah, same.
Insight everybody on Earthrendeer.
That's gonna be an. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
It's a 20. Oh, it's a 20 for 20 for Metreon.
15 for
11.
Earthrendeer.
Kiva rolled a 3. She's doing great tonight, guys.
All right. I would say Metreon.
Actually,
Earthendeer, what does Metreon notice?
Actually, hold on a moment.
Very well. Holding.
Never mind. All
Oh,
right.
Kiva, don't let him do it. He's trying to trick you. He's trying to be clever over there.
I am.
Randy, get over here.
I am trying to recover after one of the worst days of my fucking
Well, then
life.
come recover over here. And Metreon gets up off the table and wraps his arm around Randy and starts to pull him away from Kiva and Strahd.
Nope.
What do we actually get from Earthrendeer's deception?
That is a question that Earthendeer must answer.
Well, Metreon knows he's lying. For the rest of y'all, yeah, no, he does seem genuinely, heartbroken. Just kind of after the fight and trying to save Kiva's life earlier today. Seems like he just wants to have a bit of that good sun juice. Not to turn it on, just feel that personality.
Kiva looks between Earthendeer and Strahd and looks very guilty. And just says, I think I'd rather hold on to it, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, no, if you want to hold on to it, fine. Just
I can tell you anything,
okay.
Strahd, but I after everything that I've gone through, it brings me an incredible deal of comfort, you understand, and I don't... You're very kind.
Please,
for
there is
visiting
no
us.
need to apologize. In fact, allow me to offer a compromise. Perhaps I was overly hasty in my initial request. You may hold on to it, of course. I would not presume to take such a treasure away from its wielder, but if you would allow me to only peruse the hilt as well with my own hands, I promise I mean no ill will.
As Strahd speaking, Aerith is sidling around the table with his legs are tensing, and he is... Anyone who can read body language can probably tell he's getting ready to tackle Kiva if she actually tries to let him hold it.
Listen's gonna try to insight Strahd.
Go for it.
Hold on. Wait, don't do it yet. Because Amity is saying, listen, I think you understand this situation better than I do, and she's giving Lillison bardic inspiration.
Oh, thank you. What dice is that?
It's a D8.
Okay, that is a total of 9.
Strahd is difficult to read at best. However, you don't catch any shifting of his body language or any obvious tells.
Lillison, nevertheless, has her own suspicions about what he might be doing. She very politely ducks her head and says, "Is there some sort of, particular information you're looking for? Anything having to do with perhaps the history of this blade? We know very little about it ourselves, after all."
He gives you a discerning look, an eyebrow raised in almost the look of satisfaction. Well, certainly, I have encountered many notable treasures, weapons in the centuries that I have ruled Barovia. This one struck my interest, and if you would allow me a mere moment... And he holds up a hand. Should it truly be such a concern to your compatriots, I need not handle it. I respect your wishes. But only a moment of close inspection. Please, humor a man in his love for pieces of history.
Kiva, there's that fucking word. Man, I hate this. It's literally making me ill. She's just so desperate to please. She will take out the sun sword. She's gonna hold it. She's not gonna give it to him. and hold it in one hand and take his hand and hold it and allow him to like touch it and look at it, but she's still holding it.
In that case, Earthrendir is going to try and grapple her.
Metron was hanging on to Randy. I don't know if that affects anything.
If you'd like to grapple Earthrendir, you're welcome to.
If he seems like he's trying to intervene and interrupt what her and Strahd are doing, yeah, he would.
All right, make an athletics check contested by Earthrendir's choice of athletics or acrobatics.
All right. 15.
13.
All right, in that case, Earthrendir, you're able to move toward Kiva. If you would like to try to grapple her.
He could and he would.
What's this, acrobatics?
Your choice of athletics or acrobatics.
Jesus
Oh, wow.
Christ! That's a 5.
That's an 11.
Yeah, so he grapples. I don't know how quickly
I think
that
he grabs onto the sun sword arm, probably.
Yeah, I don't know how quickly that happens in the Kiva directing Strahd's hand, but, yeah.
I would say there's a brief moment when his fingertips very nearly brush against it, but due to the disparity in the rolls between the two of you, Earthrendir, you just barely managed to tug her arm away from him before he manages to make contact with it.
What are you doing?
Randy, what are you doing? This is a peaceful gathering.
Yeah, I'm being very peaceful. I just like to see the sword for a minute.
You're not being peaceful. You're trying to tackle us, trying to interrupt
What are you
this.
trying to take away?
I just... Look, it's been a day. I just want to
You have
feel...
yelled at me all evening, and I have a friend here who's trying, and you're embarrassing me.
Sorry. As I believe, I am dreadfully sorry to embarrass you. This is just very urgent, unfortunately.
What could possibly be so urgent? Use it.
Because I had to watch you nearly die today. And I am really sick of watching people I love try and kill themselves.
What do you mean trying to kill herself? She's just with Strahd. Strahd's not going to do nothing.
Not just that, early... And he just looks at Strahd, not in the eyes. So, you enjoying the show, sire, or shall I dance too? Gotten better at that lately.
I didn't yell at you earlier, Kiva. Can I take a look at the sun sword?
You have to promise me you won't give it to Earthendear, please. I mean, Strahd, is this okay? I'm so sorry. Please, you have to understand that they don't speak for me or act for me. I know it may seem like they want to.
Please, I understand completely. Again, there is no need. And if your compatriots are truly so concerned with such a thing, of course I would not object to Miss Amity, I believe, handling the item for a time, but of course, again, I must ask simply, I do not require anything that might violate your sensibilities, but a mere moment to regard it, eyes only, and he gives Earthrendir a somewhat sarcastic-looking nod and smile.
Well, surely there can't be any problem with you looking. Amity, right?
Of course not. Amity goes to take the sun sword, not looking at Strahd.
I would like to, before she does that, just quickly insight, because she didn't say whether or not she wasn't going to give it to Randy.
She didn't. And
She didn't say yes or no.
One quick thing about sequencing is that he asked to see it before Amity took it.
Yeah, she didn't give it to Amity yet. So Kiva will again hold on to the sun sword and come up nice and close to Strahd.
Eric's still grappling her. He has not let go.
Oh, really? Is there another thing to like try to get out of
I
that?
mean, you can try to burst free, or you can just hold the sun sword up. He's not asking for any special proximity. You're still like within 6 feet of him.
Okay, yeah. So she'll hold it up for him and hold it up to look at.
Millicent is going to edge a little closer towards the door, and she's going to cast message to Earthrendir, just very, very quietly saying, I think he can do no harm by looking. But if he tries to snatch it and leave...
I'll be ready. You be too.
Of course.
So, who gets their hands on the Sun Sword
So
first?
Kiva has it in her hand, and she's gonna hold it up for Strahd, while Earthrendir is grappling her.
Okay. As you do, Strahd makes no motion to take it. In fact, his arms, his hands are clasped together behind his back, pushing his cloak aside as he just gently leans forward, perusing and inspecting the curve and the make of the hilt, his eyes lingering over the gem in the guard for a moment. A fascinating weapon. Why, in a certain light, it very nearly resembles an artifact whose wielder I had the fortune to know many years ago. He gives a small nod and leans away, smiling.
Kiva,
Thank you.
look. Yeah, she looks like she would go to the moon. She's going to lower her arm down and just look at Earthrendir like, can I go back to this conversation now?
You are welcome to talk from where you are.
Look, I really don't think it's necessary for you to touch me. I think that your point has been made.
I think I disagree. I am dreadfully sorry.
Yeah, now she's gonna try to break out of it.
Alrighty.
Holy fucking Christ! Did
can I-
someone turn on a roll thing?
Can Amity give guidance to Earthrendir if this is a different turn? I don't know if, to what extent we're in initiative.
And yeah, I was gonna say if
would
I could
Mhm.
give Kiva advantage because I'm trying to pull him away, trying to keep Strahd and her little conversation as safe as possible.
Sure, why not?
Holy fucking Christ! I hate. Oh my god! I'm about to.
Unfortunately, Earthrendir is going to have to cutting words this anyway, because you rolled a 7 and he got a 4.
God fucking damn it!
And
Listen,
Amity gets
Wow.
her guidance as well. And what's Lillison doing?
While this cuddle pile is going on, Millicent by the door by herself, sort of inclines her head a little bit and says, "A most remarkable person, I'm sure, if they once wielded this blade."
That's
His
what I was
gaze-
trying to find out.
His gaze sweeps over you, Lillison, and he gives a small nod. Indeed they were. What is the outcome of our grapples?
Well, after Earthrendir cuts in with his cutting words, and Kiva now has a 0. Listen, I'm not asking you to be mean to him. Just talk to him from here, please.
My lord, can you please give me some assistance?
He sighs and raises a hand. Please, no. You must accept my apologies for the disruption and forgive my intrusion. As I mentioned, I only came for a brief visit, and I assure you I shall not trouble you much longer.
No, please. It's really no trouble.
Yeah, we got plenty of cake.
I fear I have little appetite for cake, but please do enjoy it in my stead.
Your business is so pressing, my lord. At least allow me to escort you outside.
Ah, I would appreciate that, but before I go, I would just like to wish across you and your friends. As I am sure you are aware, I have had my eye on you for some time now. He looks toward Lillison, his gaze lingering on her. While I am sure that some among you may have wondered at times if you have disappointed me, I must reassure you that my expectations have been met and, indeed, well exceeded. He turns back to Kiva, inclining his head very slightly as if in a gesture of respect. Please, in celebration of the momentous occasions you celebrate this evening, accept my humble gift. And he reaches into his cloak and pulls out a small scroll. sealed with red wax, and proffers it toward Kiva.
For me, my lord, I'm in no way deserving of any kindnesses.
Ah, my dear, but it is for you and your friends. Please. It is rude to refuse a gift from one's host.
Of course. Thank you. And she'll take it and hold it very, very lovingly against her chest.
He smiles and turns toward Lillison. Well, I do appreciate the offer. I do believe that I would not wish to keep you longer than necessary, unless, of course, there was anything in particular I might be required for.
Required for? No, not at all. I merely wished to offer a bit more courteousness than perhaps you have seen this evening.
Then let it be known that courtesy is never a gift that I shall refuse. He turns toward your friends, inclines his head again and says, I do look forward to our next meeting. Good evening. Then he turns and steps out of the door.
Oh, good night, sir.
Aerith hears the sir at the end. His face just twists.
How can you let me go?
Once he's gone.
He's gone. He's not causing no trouble, Randy. Just relax. Why you gotta be such a party pooper?
Aerith just kind of shoots a look over to Amity like, what the fuck?
Your boyfriend's over here ruining a perfectly good birthday party. Can you tell him just to relax?
I don't believe that he's actually not still listening to us. But Metreon, Kiva, and maybe Lillison, you're currently under the effect of some magic that's ruining your mind. So we don't really... We're not listening to you right now. I mean, no offense.
What do you mean I'm not under no
What are you
effect?
talking about?
Good God.
Yeah, Kiva's gonna again try to pull away from Aerith and Deer.
He's committed. He is committed.
Yeah.
Listen,
While this is happening, what is Lillison doing?
Lillison steps out the door, like a respectful 2 steps behind Strahd, and just kind of lingers there.
All right. He turns toward you in that one moment before he turns to leave entirely, just lingering under the overhang of the second floor of the Blue Water Inn. Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you and your compatriots this evening. And I'm sure that I look forward to seeing and hearing from you again.
Very, very soon, my lord. It would be an honor. And she curtsies very deeply again.
Most excellent. I look forward to it. And with that, his form slowly fades away into mist, a cloud that swirls away from you across the ground before swirling up into the sky. Around you hear the sounds of dozens, then hundreds of squeaks and chittering and the flapping of voluminous wings as all around you see the darkness that you would momentarily taken to be just the black siding of the walls of the buildings around you are in fact hundreds, if not thousands of bats sweeping up into the air, swirling around the cloud of mist like a vortex of black and darkness. And then, as you watch them ascend into the night sky, the dark wings and clouds meld with the overcast evening above, and slowly they recede until they are gone into the night.
For that 8-hour flight back to Ravenclaw. I had to keep the tension somehow. I'm dying.
Lillison watches that for a few moments more, then she turns, walks back in, and closes the door, and just lets out a long sigh. He's gone. All right.
Aerith immediately looses his grip on Kiva's arm.
What the fuck was that about?
Tell you what, we've had a hell of a day. I'll tell you, tomorrow.
Kiva, as soon as he says that, you and Metreon feel your senses return to you as the charm dissolves.
What? And you see Metreon, like, almost as if he's about to topple over.
Kiva takes a moment and looks at the scroll in her hand. And with like just a bursting of tears mixed with like, it's not even, she like doesn't have any more rages, but this is something that triggers, she's like, her cheek starts bleeding that black blood again, and she's gonna open it silently.
Metreon is struggling to stand on his feet and kind of topples over and into the cake a bit, knocking into it with his shoulder, and is followed by cold sweats and almost hyperventilating at this point, trying to like get as far away from everybody within the room as possible while staying in the room.
Lillison's going to try to approach Metreon slowly with her hands up.
Yeah, he's cowering at this point. He doesn't seem like he's even recognizing anybody else in the room.
She takes a few more steps towards him, then glances back. Are Erwin and Danica still here?
You note that Erwin and Danica seem to have disappeared into the kitchen briefly, and there's a flicker of movement from the kitchen door, and you see both of them peering out very faintly, bearing crossbows in their hands. You hear Erwin croak. He's gone then.
He's gone. I watched him go. Is there a blanket or something close by?
He swiftly stows the crossbow at his hip, and then nods. Yes, of course. I'll fetch one post-haste. And he quickly begins to make his way up the stairs, following the path that Stefania and the children took as they made their way upstairs.
I've helped you on everything. I've helped you on everyone. Oh, no. And he's not sobbing. He's like beyond the point of it's just obscenely broken right.
Oh boy.
Lillison is like sort of obviously conflicted whether or not to get closer to him, and keeps on like glancing upstairs, waiting for the blanket. But what does the scroll?
Yeah, so Kiva at this point will have sat down. She's like wiping her face very angrily with her hands, and then will try to read the scroll or see whatever it is.
All right. The scroll itself is sealed with red wax pressed into the shape of a seal, of a castle upon a shield with a raven's wing spread on either side. As you break it, you see written in a fine, elegant, spidery cursive, a letter. And if you would like to check the handout section of your items page, you should now be able to see, all of you, Strahd's invitation.
Oh no!
You didn't!
No!
Would you like to read it, Kiva?
Yes. My friends, know that it is I who have brought you to this land, my home, and know that I alone can release you from it. I bid you dine at my castle, so that we can meet in civilized surroundings. Your passage here will be a safe one. I await your arrival. Your host, Strahd von Zarevich. She'll crumple it up and throw it onto the table, and then get up from the table very angrily and go up to the room.
She's going outside?
Yeah.
Don't.
What more can he take that he hasn't already taken tonight? And that's all she's gonna say. just go upstairs.
Aerith picks up the letter and slowly uncrumples it and reads through it. And when he looks up, his face is ashen. He's found his new angle. He's asked us to dinner.
When?
There does not seem to be an RSVP. But it's at the castle. I don't know what he wants. But it might be to have us all nice and presentable before he kills us all. He just kind of numbly sets the letter down on the table as an invitation if others want to read it. And then sits down as close to Metreon as he'll let him.
Yeah, he doesn't fight. If anything, he looks like he's almost coming out of shock. Dragnon, did you say that the Mordecrovs are still in the building?
By this point, Erwin has returned with the blanket Lillison requested, and Danica is kind of looking around with some sort of shock and very shakily kind of reaching for one of the barrels on the walls, putting a tankard under it, realizing that the spigot is not giving anything out, groaning quietly under her breath and just slumping against the side of the counter.
When Erwin comes to put the blanket on Metreon, he grabs Erwin's arm and looks up at him, pleading, I'm so sorry. I ruined everything for you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get him in here.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Vampires are, well, it's strange. I suppose we must be lucky, in a way, perhaps, that he saw fit that there was not need for further escalation. He chuckles and winces, clearly not actually feeling amused. On the bright side, there seems to be no requirement for further renovations. So that's definitely something to
What if he comes
celebrate.
back?
He won't. He's made his point.
I feel like there's a dramatically timed, like, primal scream from Kiva and the sound of, like, stuff getting, like, thrown around as she's, like, losing her shit after the, like, no need for further renovations line from upstairs.
Erwin
Yeah.
winces. Okay, maybe a few renovations.
Seeing that Metreon's coming out of it, Aerith just scoots next to him.
We have to get you all out. We have to get them out of here, Randy. We can't let them stay here while as what can we do to just get this place sealed back up?
Get who out of here?
The Mordecrovs, yes, this is open ground for them now.
Esmeralda looks very sharp and very on alert. She doesn't respond to your question, but she glances toward you. Metreon, I'm going to need you to answer a simple question for me, okay?
Yeah.
At any point this evening, today or yesterday, have you encountered Von Zarevich? Did you see him? Did you hear him?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him before.
As in, within the last 24 hours?
No, I mean, wait, that fucking bat. Oh, gods. And you see that the gears are starting to turn again. When Kiva and I was outside, there was a bat hanging out, and I tried to shoot it, but she told me not to. It's gotta be why. It's gotta be why she told me not to, because it was him. He got us.
He can do that while shape-shifting?
She hisses under her breath. So that was when he made his mark. I feel this much. She nods to Erthrendir. The most powerful among their kind. The hypnotic gaze extends even into their bestial forms.
So any bat we see, we can't make eye contact with.
She nods grimly.
Splendid. And then he looks at Metreon. Hey, you didn't hurt anybody. You didn't, and we've still got the Sunblade. There's
I'm not worried about us. I'm worried about these people. We leave. We can't stay here, and then we go, and he can come back and just do whatever he wants to them. And this isn't safe. Nowhere is safe for anyone.
You hear a heavy thunk in the side of the table and the quavering of metal, and you turn around and you see Davian, his short sword dug deep into the side of of one of the tables, his fist clenched until the knuckles are white and his teeth just set in a terrible grimace. If he fucking tries to lay a hand or finger or fucking claw on me or mine, he won't wake another fucking evening in his fucking coffin.
Aerith gives a rueful little smile. Well said. But, Metreon, I know, but he can do that regardless. There's nowhere that's safe. But you didn't make it, you didn't hurt them. He could have gotten in here at any time if he wanted to.
It's just what it feels like, and he looks up at Amity and Randy as well. Like, I still feel them in my head. It's like spiders crawling around in my brain. It's just...
It's like you want to be the person he wants you to be. It's the worst feeling in the world. I'm sorry.
I just still feel him in here, and I just want him out.
He is out. You just have to do some scrubbing to get the scorch marks off the walls. Takes time. Took me like 4 decades. But it does leave.
I'm sorry, Amity.
For what?
Because we done fucked up the birthday.
Honestly, when he came in here, I thought he was gonna kill us or take the sword. We still have it.
Wait, where's Lillison at?
Oh no!
Lillison is literally 10 feet away from you.
Oh, yeah, he looks up and realizes that you're just 10 feet away. Did he say anything to you? Did you say anything to him?
He said that he hopes to see us all soon.
Are you currently charmed?
I am not currently charmed. I want to kill Strahd. I did not look into his eyes at any point tonight.
Amity squints real hard at Lillison. I still don't know.
I think we're just gonna have to take her word for it. I don't think we could figure out if Lillison was lying if we tried.
Lillison shrugs, and she says, I think I should go see how Kiva is doing.
Yeah.
There's more crashing from upstairs.
Perfectly timed.
Good luck.
She nods and heads out the front door and goes to climb up the side stairs.
Okay. As Lillison, you depart. It's not long as you make your way out into the quiet, chill night of the Vlakian evening, ascending the wood and stone staircase in the exterior and entering once more onto the guest section of the second floor and your chambers, where you can presumably still hear Kiva making crashing sounds. What would Lillison hear?
Yeah, so by the time that Lillison comes upstairs, Kiva, I think, has probably exhausted herself. She still hadn't fully healed from everything before, and so there's probably like a sliding and a thump as Kiva just sort of slides down the wall, and then it's very quiet, like scary quiet, and then that's what she would hear as she sort of comes up the step.
Is the door open or closed?
It'd probably be like halfway. She probably didn't, or like if she slammed it so hard that it like actually didn't slam and it just sort of bounced back open, that sort of thing.
Okay. Lillison is going to. This is such a bad idea. She's going to cast Mage Hand and open the door a little wider from 30 feet away.
Kiva just sort of looks up and just says, "So you've come to kill me then? Is that it? You didn't leave after all?"
Kiva, when I come to kill you, I'm not going to actually announce my presence first.
When you come to kill me?
I was trying to make a joke.
Comedy's not one of your strong suits, love.
I know.
I'm sorry that this remains your job. Every time it happens, it seems.
She shrugs and walks up to the doorframe. Can I touch you?
Are you feeling alright?
Yes, but I know that you're not.
She just opens her mouth like she's gonna say something and just sort of gives up and with like a weary shrug, it's like sort of relents a little bit. And as Lil walks into the room, I mean, her hair is like down in her face. She's like, her knuckles are bruised. There's like, the room is fucking destroyed. So it's not something that she's gonna have to apologize to the Martikovs for.
Lillison walks in, like I assume that like beds are overturned, everything like that.
Yeah.
She walks in and just sort of sits down next to Kiva and very gently and like ready to pull back if need be, just sort of slides an arm around Kiva's waist.
Kiva just sort of immediately relents and leans into Lillison, and it's very much like a deja vu thing because she's just crying again, like that first time.
Lillison puts her other arm around Kiva's shoulders, sort of in a sideways hug, and starts just gently patting her shoulder.
What was it you said to me about letting him think I was one of those people who would just throw myself in the way of danger?
Are you?
Well, I couldn't help myself tonight, could I?
Then that wasn't you, was it?
I just felt like I'd gotten him out. Like I wasn't wearing him on my skin, and there he is. And I couldn't stop it. And I felt the sword. So disappointed. I can't. I don't think I've ever felt disappointment like that in my life. And I've had a very disappointing life.
Can you still feel it? The sword?
She'll sort of like dig into her armor and hold it. Does she feel anything?
You do after a moment. There's like this tense second where you just wait with bated breath, feeling nothing, this null sensation from the hilt in your hands, and then slowly, protruding very gently and hesitantly like a hermit crab from a shell, a very sullen sense of skepticism and suspicion and sullen disappointment. And through it all, a sense of questioning.
She just like holds it to her chest, and I mean, it's a fucking sword, but she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she just is like, she's like willing it to understand as much as she can believe it herself, right? Like that it wasn't her. And that, you know, if she had a choice, it wouldn't have gone down that way, sort of thing.
You feel, in response, a quiet, rolling sense of irritation for a brief moment, of flare-up of anger that then slowly fades into just a glum acceptance, and beneath it, a burning sense of resentment. Not toward you suspect, but toward the progenitor of the night's events.
He's angry. And I am too, so I guess we're even now.
Are you still more angry than exhausted?
Yeah, I'd say. I don't think I'm going to be getting much sleep tonight. Well, I don't really ever sleep. I'm just going to be sitting in this trance and probably thinking about this entire shitty fucking day. It's just been one horrible thing to the next, and so yeah, it's probably just going to be a couple hours of that, I'd say.
Would you do me a few favors, then?
She, like, sort of pushes the hair out of her face and gives Lillison a curious look.
Would you help me put the beds back upright?
She looks around as if, like, just realizing, like, the room and the state of it. Just like, oh my god. Yeah, no, we've got to fix this. I've got to fix it. Yeah, she'll, like, get up, like, you know, and just try to start writing everything. Like, kicking the bits of glass and stuff into a corner and, you know.
Lillison will, help as much as her 10 strength can manage. She'll probably do things like smoothing out sheets and, like, sweeping up bits of glass.
Well, this is happening downstairs, as Earthendir, Amity, and Metreon watch Lillison exit the tap room and make her way upstairs to the second floor. What are the three of you doing?
Shivering, shaking.
Yeah.
Amity's going to start by ritual casting locate animals or plants, targeting bat.
There is indeed a bat around a mile away from you, to the east.
There's no bats in the entire city right now.
They all left with him. What do you know? Least we can know we're not being spied on tonight.
If it wasn't already clear, henceforth, any bat we see,
Dies.
it's an arrow, a firebolt, whatever. It's dead. It's killed. We kill it.
Metreon, I literally took a spell from Victor's book for the express purpose of killing those things. I am in full agreement.
Metreon, still on the ground, kind of crawls up to the table and pulls, just digs his hand into the cake a bit and kind of pulls a handful over, and then scurries back, still with hunched over with the blanket over him, and just kind of starts to nibble on it.
Yeah, there's one slice left. Just take it. I'm sorry. I think you'll feel better after some sleep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can help.
Aerith looks quizzical for a moment, and then he looks over to Amity. I might be able to. I had a present I wanted to share with you. Well, two, actually, but this one I can share with him, too. Would you mind if y'all both got to see it?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Alright. Give me a moment. And Aerith goes around and starts busying himself. He shuts the shutters, he closes the door, makes sure it's double latched, blows out the candles until the room's been plunged into darkness, or near darkness.
Danica will look at you quizzically for a moment and then assist you in doing so.
Thank you. And then Aerith sort of goes over to the corner where Metreon and Amity are sitting, and he pulls out his wand and closes his eyes. And you watch as, shimmering from the tip of it, there come these yellowish-green lines of bright magical energy. And Aerith begins the steps of a dance, weaving a spell, leaving shimmering lines of ocean-colored light through the air, until the two of you and him are surrounded by this. And as the pattern grows and grows, more complex, more vivid, and then suddenly, it's not light anymore. And there aren't rafters above you. There are stars, and the bright white glow of a summer moon over in waves. You're still in your chairs, but there's a beach. Nighttime with stars sparkling overhead, and waves lapping so close that if you had scooted forward a bit, you think you could feel them touch their toes. Aerith pauses as if in exhaustion, finishing touch, and raises the wand one more time. And there are waves. The sound of them lapping gently as he sits down next to the two of you. Welcome
What the hell
home.
is this?
Home. I have nothing to give you, Amity. Not gold, not resources, not power. But I have memories. And I wanted to share this one with you. And at night, I hoped it would be a nicer place than here.
It's beautiful. Can I get up and get in the water, or...
I can't do feelings, sadly. But you can... Yeah, sorry.
I don't recognize the constellations.
Well, you wouldn't. You're from out Morningfleet, right?
Right.
Well, sky looks a lot different out east, and we don't have the same stars. And look, you look up there, there's the Archer's bow, and there's Salamander's ship. You see that cup of stars with the mast right above? They used to say that on clear nights you can see him winking at you as he sails across the stars.
Amity clutches Erthrindir's hand. She's only happy to spend infinite time in this zone.
Yep. He carefully grabs it. And then kind of looks over at Metreon.
Yeah, Metreon's still hunched over with a blanket just kind of draped from his head over his shoulders and just darting his eyes around, unsure of what to make of everything, but also just nibbling on cake to cope.
Here. Very, very tentatively, Aerith will place a hand on the small of his back, but will.
What?
I just wanted to offer. I can fuck off if you'd rather.
What are you trying to offer?
Like, Aerith looks like he's fishing for a witty reply and then sighs. Like a hug, dude.
They can't see us out there, can they?
Nope. This blocks line of sight.
Metron looks around, making sure that the coast is clear, and then, in a odd show of genuine emotion, really goes in and kind of buries his head into Earthendir's shoulder, and then just like deflates into him, allowing him to give him a genuine hug.
Yep. He pulls both of them close and just stares up and watches the stars, a small smile on his face.
I like this place better than Barovia.
Me too.
Me too.
I can't promise you this speech, but Aerith cuts himself off, and just hugs them both tighter. Love you.
We gotta figure out what we're gonna do from here. This is all nice and all, but Strahd could get into blue water, and now he's giving us this invite. He keeps getting in our head, keeps being 7 steps ahead of us.
Well, in that case, he's just made a very big mistake. He's told us precisely where he's going to be. And we can use that. For now, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say I love you more. You can't seriously be saying you actually want to go to the dinner.
Aerith, takes a minute to respond, because, he's blushing. I do. He's offered us free passage into his castle. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap. But so is everything here. And this is a trap that we can plan for.
Do we try and get that Casimir fellow? I mean, he seems, from what you told me, he seems like he's got a beef with him too. I mean, and Victor, we can do things and just set him out there.
If we can. That's a good idea. I imagine he's not expecting us tomorrow.
Yeah, there's no date on it, so let's just wait until we think we can take him.
Or, yeah.
So he tries to kill one of us again, or kill someone else. I really shouldn't be. I'm sorry. I'm bringing down the mood.
A little bit, but you're forgiven.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And he actually starts to second guess himself and pushes himself away. Is there any way he can get out? Because he starts to kind of stand up, looking very anxious.
Yeah, he can leave, but as he does, Aerith grabs his hand. If you want to go, but if you want to stay.
I want both. I mean, I like seeing this. I like seeing the sunshine and seeing the ocean, and I miss it. But it's still in my head, It's still crawling around in there. He ain't in there though, but it just feels like he is. And I can't really appreciate it the way I'm supposed to. So and he doesn't even finish. He just starts to walk away out of the illusion.
Metron? And
yeah.
He looks him dead in the eyes. for people like that, when they get in your head, you waiting and hoping isn't enough.
I'm not
Dude,
waiting.
I know.
I'm not hoping for nothing other than driving something to his heart and another thing up his ass and just watching him burn. That's all.
I know. I just wanted to say that best thing I've found is to add more memories to push out the ones he made you have.
He's not the only man who's ever done that to my head. So I know what I need to do to just feel alright.
Aerith
But thank you. And he
nods.
just walks away.
I
Just kind of
met
joking out.
Metreon. Me neither.
He nods and starts to walk out. And when he does, he's actually looking around, seeing if Esmeralda or Irina or Ismark are around.
Yes, Irina and Ismark are just kind of staring wistfully at the beach scene that Earthendir has conjured. Esmeralda is just pacing in the corner, occasionally looking out the window, looking very much on high alert. Davian is off to the side, speaking with what looks like Elvira and Adrian off in the corner. They do not all appear to be a happy bunch.
He goes straight for Esmeralda, kind of trying to avoid meeting eyes with any of the Mardikovs, still feeling the shame of having, violated their space with someone else. But he rolls up to her very determined. Listen, I know you're pacing because he's anxious, and I'm pretty sure I can guess that you want to kill that piece of shit as soon as possible.
She chuckles. I suppose I'm a bit transparent in that respect, yes. Truth be told, I'm not sure how I feel about all this. Well, I told you once that vampires are arrogant in the ways that they play with their lives of mortals, yes? This certainly is... I overheard a few words. I agree this certainly presents a trap, but also an opportunity, so long as we don't let ourselves get stabbed in the back, or the front. And she glances once more at the window, wincing.
I know I ain't been the most effective in the line of duty. You are really smart, and you know how to do these things better than any of us here. So, I guess what I'm saying is just, you if you have any idea of how I can help, the sooner we get this done, the sooner it's done. And I can't let anyone have to deal with what any of us have dealt with anymore.
She gives you a nod. Of course. Frankly, from what I've seen, you certainly seem to be quite a skilled combatant. If you would like,
You're a bad liar, Ace, but thank you.
I think you might be more capable than you believe, but if you truly think that, if you would like to have a discussion, then, I know that there are things that I have not mentioned, that others have mentioned, and I've been turning over what the old man mentioned earlier. And, at some point if we are to venture into the Lion's Den, as it were, or whatever this temple place is, if that is where we are to travel next, I do think it might be fruitful for us to do what we can to try to coordinate more. You might not believe that you have anything to offer, but I think that, especially working with those that you trust, those that have your back, I think you might have more than you believe.
Metreon's uncharacteristically quiet and pensive, looking down at the floor when she says that. And he looks back over at Earthendir and Amity, just sitting on this illusory beach. And then he kind of darts his head up in the direction of where there should be screaming and punching and crying, but it seems to be quiet and died down now. None of this makes sense, but I wish I had something better to say. I wish I was more elegant, or eloquent, rather.
Hey, look, I'm not a speech giver, all right? I'm definitely not going to be any orator. That is. I'm sure Elchandira Amity would be far better equipped for that than me, or Irina even. She's certainly got the pedigree for it. But you know, I've gotten used to fighting these battles on my own. You know, perhaps I've got more of the old doctor in me than I like to think. But I don't think we need to say anything fancy or elegant, you know? I think we just need to come to an understanding, perhaps. And hey, if there's one thing that the bastard in this castle can't quite understand, it's that, I imagine. I doubt he's got anyone.
Yeah, thank you, Ace. It's a bit of comfort. And he forces a smile out and turns and walked away. And as he does, he looks over back at Ismark and Irina and does the same, kind of forcing out a smile. But also mouths the words sorry to both of them. And then goes back over to the table that the cake was on and just kind of sits against the wall as much as he can, just looking out at everybody.
As Metreon does this, once the two of them are kind of alone, Erthrindir just kind of buries his face in Amity's shoulder. And for a few minutes, there's just the sound of very muffled but very energetic crying.
Oh, Amity tussles his hair. You made this birthday so special for me. I'm gonna have to think so hard about how to make it up.
Earth pulls away slightly, his eyes wet. I'm glad. You know, I was gonna offer my other present to say if you wanted to make out, I'd be open, but this kind of ruined the mood. But
Did you say make out?
I did. I think. Suddenly, I know we were just gonna say we're gonna be straightforward about that. So don't. Just wanted to offer, and if you don't want it,
no, I'm just making sure. I mean, no one can see us because of all the stars and stuff.
Yeah, let me just. We'll have to be quiet. He kind of looks up, which means I might need to occupy my big mouth of mine with doing something else.
Ooh. Is this where you fade to black?
I mean,
You are standing in the middle of the tap room, my friends.
can't see us.
No, we're not. Erthrindir has literally faded to black.
Everyone knows that this is an illusion and they can see through it.
Fuck. All
Them's the rules, kids.
Roll back. Later, then. Just, let you offer.
How long does this last?
I can make 10 minutes.
Alright, then how about in 10 minutes or so?
Right, sorry, didn't mean to... Oh, fuck it. He just pulls her closer. Happy birthday, darling. Deliver me from this, please.
And
Upstairs!
After the ends, they will go upstairs to a different room from the one that the other lovebirds are in.
To the one that has already been smashed, to a room that will soon be smashed.
I wish all lovebirds a very good finding a room in the completely full hotel.
Eat shit, Dragna.
It's okay, there's always the attic. Upstairs, is there anything more that Lillison and Kiva are doing?
I mean,
Are we about to fade? Kidding.
Fade to black.
after doing nothing other than putting the room to rights, Lillison is going to, see how Kiva seems to be doing emotionally now.
She's definitely better. Like, there's that sense that, like, having a sort of purpose and a mission is making her, is giving her something else to think about. But then, sorry, just saw the read your spells. But then, once she's done and the room is sort of put back together, she does sort of look very crestfallen and lost and doesn't know, like, she doesn't know what she's gonna do next, sort of thing.
Lillison watches her for a moment and then says, "And the other favor I was hoping to ask you."
Yeah, please, anything.
This will sound a little strange, but could we go outside behind the inn and, could you, teach me how to fight?
I mean, you've got your spells and everything. Is that... I can't help you any with that, obviously. Not that you need it, of course.
I meant with a sword.
Oh. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna use the sun sword, obviously, but, I've got the mace and stuff that I can use, and, maybe Ez, I know Ez has a rapier, so we can talk to her, unless you have one.
I, borrowed a practice sword from Ismark earlier.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, no, this is great, actually. This is just what I need.
Melissa nods, like, a little knowingly, and says, "Well, let's, get right to it, I suppose?"
Yeah, let's go. And so she looks like a little bit pluckier, still like uncomfortable in her skin, but she's trying to, like, this purpose is driving her forward. And so yeah, oh my god, we're gonna do some fighting. Cool fighting montage.
We're gonna do some tense sword fighting behind the inn.
Oh my god. I DM for 13-year-olds.
Correct.
Listen, or people who have been trapped inside of their homes for an entire pandemic and are desperate for any human contact.
Fuck it, it's Pride Month, who cares? Alright, is there anything in particular you wish to explore during this training montage, or
I feel like
shall we just montage it?
I mean, yeah, I think just, like, to sort of give an outline as far as, like, I don't know if Lillison is gonna roll stuff or, like, take any specific, like, or if this is just for narrative purposes, but she'd probably teach her, like, the basics of sort of, like, positioning, and then, like, fighting from a sort of normal distance, and then, like, how to use a sword even in close combat, sort of situation.
Yeah, and, you know, Kiva would probably see pretty quickly that Lillison knows how to do very basic, sword drills, things like that, because I believe that is part of the rogue toolkit. But that she's not too, she doesn't attack very hard yet.
Eva's definitely the type of she's the type of, like, wrestling coach that's like, no, I want you to do it full force, because you're not gonna learn unless you go full force. So, like, literally stab me. I want to see how you stab. So yeah, there's probably, like, Kiva's definitely gonna, like, push Lillison a little bit. You know, to, like, don't hold back. This is because when you do it for real, you're not gonna be able to have that chance to think about holding back. So I think it's also a little bit of a masochistic thing after the evening, as well, which I think Lillison would be able to see. But yeah, she's gonna push it.
We're channeling energy productively.
Ooh.
Beautiful. All right. Well, is there anything else anyone would like to do this evening, aside from things that, according to Twitch's content rules, we cannot display?
Can we make the sounds at least?
Absolutely not.
We can display it in certain contexts. I'm very familiar with TOS after watching
Oh, no.
Hassan Piker's broadcast.
No, there is not Dragon the lovely DM.
Lotus podcast episode.
Exactly.
Oh, God. All right.
If something happens to be written on AO3, just link it to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or anyone who,
Tumblr,
wanna read, whatever. That's weird.
We'll do a dramatic reading.
We will, yeah. If they wanna
Okay.
put it- yeah.
After Dark's around for a reason.
In that case, I'm going to assume that after an evening of fervent sword fighting and stargazing and whatever it is that Metreon's doing, you retire to your chambers on the second floor?
Actually, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Metron's gonna pull Lilith in and stay in the tap room and be as far away from other people as possible right now.
Oh shit, because Kiva was gonna do the same thing. Can we be far away together since like commiserating?
Sure.
Great, cool.
Okay. In that case, are the other three upstairs with our companion friends?
I mean, if Erthrendir and Amity are deliberately taking a different room, I guess it's just Lilison by herself.
There are no rooms available
We are
unless
not
you want to
adjudicating
ask.
the logistics of this.
All right.
Actually,
Saying
no.
it happens in an empty room that happens to be empty for the exact 10 minutes that Erthrendir needs.
Are there actually no rooms available, though?
I have done the math. There are no rooms available except the attic.
Oh my god.
To the attic.
There are like 14 people in this inn right now.
Is that where Ez and Ismark and Irina are sleeping? I guess Ez could sleep in her wagon.
She does not have her wagon right now.
Oh, damn, that's right. It's over at the tower. Fuck.
Regardless, is there anything more? Kiva and Metron are downstairs, moping on opposite sides of the tap room.
There's
As
nothing
Irina,
else
Ismark.
that needs to happen.
Okay. Anything from Lillison?
Lilison's gonna do Lilison things. She's right. She's finishing her letter to Strahd somewhere.
Gotcha. Okay.
And like finding, I guess there's no bats within a 1 mile radius, so I don't know how she's gonna get it to him.
Just throw it up into the sky and he'll get it.
I would say if you deign to look out a window, you will notice that there does seem to be a bat hanging from the eave of the inn. Perhaps some have filtered back into town.
Okay.
It does not take that long to travel a mile by air.
Roll initiative.
Lilison delicately hands her scroll to the bat.
All right. The Bat Express happily accepts your scroll and flies off into the night, doing its best to look dark and dramatic, but utterly being foiled by the giggling coming from halfway down the hall. And as everyone turns in for their evening's rest, waiting to see if there are any interruptions. No? All right. As everyone turns in for their evening's rest and prepares to turn in for a new day, that is where we will take our break.
Magna's like, get me out of here.
Just rip it.
We're out. This is where we end.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Oh, God.
I had a Strahd encounter planned today. What the fuck are y'all doing with it?
Yeah, I think he was just embarrassed by all the wrestling and arguing that we were doing. He just was like, I really don't need to do much.
Love it. All right, well, thank you all very much for sticking around. We appreciate you all, and we hope to see you again after a brief 15-minute break, as per usual. We do hope you enjoy our messages from our D&D community and this week's fireside chat. And once our break is concluded, we will see you back here very soon.
Welcome to Fireside Chat, a short interlude with weekly features, where I, your host Lucas, will be showcasing and interviewing prominent D&D creators. This week, we are talking to Bitten, a Curse of Strahd Dungeon Master and a member of the Curse of Strahd community, about utilizing the Rorschach method to determine your playstyle. What is Rorschach DMing and why is it helpful?
Basically, it's when your party's first interaction with an NPC or an event is left deliberately open-ended to see how the PCs react towards it. Afterwards, you use those reactions to solidify the personality in future interactions to create something the PCs will enjoy because they themselves unknowingly helped to create it. I call it Rorschach DMing because just like how someone telling you what they see in ink blots can reveal insights about them, your players reacting towards these open-ended situations can help give you insight on what they may enjoy or respond well to. Now, taking these ideas from your players to make the adventure work better with them is not something I came up with, and most DMs can say that they have done this at some point. What makes this approach different is that you know and expect this to happen and deliberately create situations where the player's reactions to said situations can be used by you.
How have you been able to use this approach when running your own Curse of Strahd game?
I was able to use it to answer one of the most common questions Curse of Strahd DMs ask ourselves and the community. How should I play Strahd for my campaign? I did not know my players before I started my current campaign. With only a session 0, I did not have a good idea which version of Strahd to play as. Should I use the delightfully vicious Strahd who tries to corrupt the party first? The hidden Dark Lord who waits to reveal himself? Or perhaps the noble demon who confronts the party early on? Unsurprisingly, Dragna and Bitten helped me come up with the answer and this Rorschach method. By tweaking Bitten's first Strahd encounter, I was able to have my players decide what Strahd would be like. This is how I set it up. First, Death House in the village of Barovia should serve to provide just enough information about Strahd that they have a general idea of what he is like to hopefully prevent the players from thinking he's a good guy, but that they can take him out on level 3. Emphasizing what he did to the Durst at Death House, the fear the village has for him, and Irina and Ismark begging you to bring them to safety should help accomplish that. Second, I had the first Strahd encounter happen while the PCs were traveling to Vallaki for the first time. While crossing Zarfal's bridge, I had Strahd's carriage appear from a distance, and specifically mentioned that it was still a couple minutes away in order to give them the opportunity to flee if they wanted to. They did not. So the carriage approached them, and Strahd started to converse with them in the usual way, menacing monologue, acting creepy, etc., etc. Then I had him ask the PCs to bow to him. I did that because while the request was certainly meant to be aggressive, it was not openly hostile. Just enough that it can provoke the more aggressive PCs to attempt physical violence, but not enough where the more cautious PCs would feel comfortable joining in on it. After Strahd was satisfied with his opening salvo, he departed, leaving the PCs to figure out what was going on. I consider this an example of the Rorschach method because it was deliberately set up to allow many possible resolutions to it. By having them spot Strahd's carriage a couple minutes away, it gave the party the opportunity to try to run away and hide. If they had done so, then I would have known the more hidden Strahd would be the way to go. I had Strahd politely demand for them to bow, to create a situation where the party could choose to be provoked into attacking, creating a hostile from the get-go Strahd. Instead, the party swallowed their pride and played along, which meant Strahd would continue to act polite and have the more social interactions with them for the time being.
How have your players reacted to this approach?
They reacted very well to it. 2 simply bowed, enough to placate Strahd, but not impress him. He did ask questions to figure out details he did not know about them, and casually mentioned one of them possibly joining his service. after finding out one was a warlock to create paranoia. One bowed and kissed his ring, which did impress Strahd, and marked that PC as a possible successor. The final PC attempted to shake Strahd's hand, so he had his primary target for harassment. With this information, I now had a solid idea how to place Strahd with this party. Since the party as a whole showed a minimum of decorum, he would not directly antagonize them until things escalated, but would secretly try to antagonize the rude PC, groom his possible successor, and try to turn the other two to his side. It even created some inter-party conflict, as the PC who was rude to Strahd angrily asked the other party member why he would kiss Strahd's ring. When that session was over, I spoke with my party to gauge how they enjoyed it, and the response was very positive. They liked having a chance to interact with the main villain so early on and navigate a tense situation. Personally, I would say this situation leans in nicely to why Strahd is such a popular villain, which is that he's able to interact with the party often before the final battle to help develop the conflict between the party and him. I would even say this fits perfectly with Strahd's personality. Gathering information about your newest playthings while indulging in some power play BS definitely seems like something he would do.
Are there any times when you might want to avoid this technique?
While I found this very useful for Strahd, I do not think it's necessary for every PC. Not that you even could without becoming as crazy at age. As the endgame villain for the campaign, it makes sense that you like to get as much information as possible before firmly deciding how you interact with the party member. Few things are as disappointing as realizing your big baddie just is not engaging your party. It also helps that he can leave and appear pretty much as many times as he wants at very little risk of him dying, which makes these situations much easier to set up. Minor NPCs or even major ones, such as Esmeralda or Van Richten, I personally do not believe needed as much, since many of them serve specific roles that don't rely on personalities, in the sense that they can offer more assistance as opposed to purely combat. And frankly, it's very difficult to plan long term if you're just reacting to what the party does for every single interaction. Now, Irina, I am unsure if this method is good or not for. On one hand, the community you do see every so often that the party doesn't particularly care for her, so this method might prove useful in preventing that. On the other hand, Irina does not have the same build-up as Strahd, so making this first encounter with Irina, quote-unquote open-ended, might make her seem lacking in personality and backfire. Lastly, I would say if you feel certain that you know what your party will enjoy, then go ahead and do that. This is meant to help answer questions you're unsure about. So if you're not unsure, then don't feel the need to use this.
My friends, it is I, Count Strahd von Zarovich, and I bid thee listen. The Guild of the Black Crow have produced over 5 hours of ambient sound design for my most beautiful and ancient land. As used by Twice Bitten, these ambient backgrounds include my most private and intimate of letters, as well as bonus tracks not found in the Dungeon Master's Handbook. So, hear me now. I guarantee you safe passage to their camp. Support them, and perhaps we shall meet sooner than you think.
If you think your hometown has problems, you haven't spent nearly enough time in the village of Barovia.
Over the years, their taste for human flesh had only grown.
The vampire spawn.
The undead cult, the werewolf den.
I just think we can do a little better here.
Grab our shovels and we're gonna add some depth to help you run your best
Curse of Strahd.
Strahd possible. You're welcome.
He flies into a fit of rage that is unparalleled.
There's child abuse galore through this thing. He's been nailed to the wall with very long iron spikes, and I imagine it's been a very uncomfortable time for him.
You see, in tracking a monster, one always needs proper bait.
And welcome back, everyone, to Curse of Strahd, Twice Bitten. As always, before we get started, a few quick announcements that we will jump through. First off, thank you to our continuing virtual tabletop sponsor for this campaign, Foundry VTT. Excellent stuff. Highly recommend you check them out if you are in the market for a virtual tabletop. Next up, Twy. How are we looking on Twitch?
Yo, lovely people. So, I know what you need. I know what you want. And unfortunately, both of those are illegal, you sick fuck. But in the absence of that, you can subscribe to Twice Bitten D&D on Twitch. It's not quite gonna scratch that itch. It's, it's a hard one to replicate. But it'll be there for you. For now. It's just $5 a month, and you get such lovely prizes as emotes, and the knowledge that you're supporting a stream that helps you in those times of need. Serena?
I don't even know what to say anymore. If you like what you're listening to, you can join the discussion on our very own subreddit, reddit.com/r/twicebittendnd, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/rcurseofstrahd, for all of our past sessions, fireside chats, video essays, and highlights from the stream. On behalf of Kaya, I'm sorry I'm stealing this thunder a little bit, we have surpassed our 100,000 podcast listen goal, so now is the point. I believe you have until the 30th of June to enter the giveaway for a letter from Lillison. If you go to our Twitter page, Twice Bitten COS, it is the pinned tweet up there, so you can make sure to enter that because you're not going to want to miss a cool-ass letter from our cool-ass Lillison.
All right, thank you very much, Twy and Serena. With that, I think we are done with announcements for today. So, I think we are good to set off back to the Blue Water Inn. So, returning to the darkened chambers and corridors of the Martikov's tap room. As each of you turns in for the night, for your slumber, meditation as it may be, Davian departing to his own room and your compatriots spreading out amongst the tap room and finishing up their evening activities before turning in for the night's rest. Amity, as you drift off into the gentle embrace of rest, you find the world around you sinking, swirling into shadow, until you find yourself slipping upward and staring down a long, dark stone tunnel. Around you, you can see what seem to be icicles hanging from outcroppings upon the walls, a cold sheet of frost crystals glimmering on the stone floor beneath you, and up ahead in the distance, you see a faint... is that a golden shine? You're not entirely sure. But you can feel that the air around you is cold and frigid, your hands instinctively going to your waist as you feel yourself shivering from the exposure.
Amity looks around at the icicles and runs down the hallway, jogging towards that golden shine.
It's not long before you reach the end of the hallway, shorter than you had expected. And as you emerge, you see that the golden shine does not seem to have been coming from something before you, but from either side of this new space you have entered. Due to the shadows that lurk at the corners and the boundaries, it's difficult to tell exactly the size or even shape of this room, but you can see on either side of you a pair of tall statues depicting owls. Perhaps 10 feet tall, looking wise and majestic, with strangely enough spectacles across their faces and wearing crooked pointed hats atop their heads, but they are old, aged, cracked with splinters and cracks spiting across the surface. In places, shards have fallen out upon the floor. Still a faint golden, almost amber shine glimmering from their surface. But they only hold your attention for a minute, for at the center of the chamber, before you, you see, just faintly emerging from the floor, just a few inches above it, an enormous pair of stone-carved hands, almost made of a incredibly dark, nearly black granite. Within these hands, these massive palms pressed together, you see a cloud of swirling darkness, lingering there softly. and from that darkness, an unnerving sense of being watched.
Amity wouldn't have done this a week ago, but she breaks an icicle off the wall and approaches the darkness. First, greeting the statues. Hello, Owl. Hello, Owl. What's the darkness over there?
The statues do not respond.
Well, Amity is going to approach the darkness, holding the icicle. Is anyone there? Someone else who can make darkness happen?
There's no immediate response, but as you approach the edge of the swirling cloud of darkness, there's almost an unnatural feeling to it. You do retain that prickling sense in the back of your neck as though something or someone is still gazing upon you. Do you step into the darkness?
Question. To what extent does Amity sort of have access to her magic in Dreamland Zone? I'm guessing maybe not much.
You are welcome to attempt any spell that you know. The effects may not be as you expected them, but you still feel that connection to your power even here.
Okay. Amity greets the darkness in kind by casting, not stepping into the darkness, but sort of letting darkness envelop her, and then stepping forward.
As you do, you watch as the swirling clouds of shadow, almost like black velvet, envelop you, guiding you forward with their soft swirls and contours. And as they do, it's not long before you come upon a shape, a small shape, at the center of the cloud within which you have now been guided. And almost the darkness around you parts, both from your projection and from the cloud that remained here before, almost like veils or curtains being pulled gently aside. And there, sitting at the center of the great stone palms, looking up with you with wide, curious eyes, a small canine, perhaps. Not a dog, you don't think, but looking back and thinking on the fables and storybooks you've read, you're certain it's perhaps a jackal pup? Small and looking up at you again with those big eyes and its grayish-brown ears twitching very faintly.
Hello. I guess reaching more into her magic, Amity's gonna try to cast Speak with Animals and Animal Friendship here.
You feel the magic envelop you, and for that moment you look down as your nails grow slightly longer into the form of elegant, slightly yellowed claws. You feel your teeth grow faintly sharper as the bestial features of the spell take hold upon you. And then, looking into the jackal pup's eyes, there's a moment as it pauses, tilts its head toward you, and then opens its muzzle and says, "You shouldn't have come here." And then it opens its muzzle wider, its eyes flaring wide as they burn with an unnatural light, the whole of its body seeming to bubble, flesh turning to flame as all across it embers seem to lick across its body, the entirety of the fur and flesh searing into a burning reddish white. And as around it, you see arcs of electricity and lightning leap and crackle across it. Before you have a chance to react, it leaps toward you, its jaw stretched impossibly wide. And before it can devour you, your eyes open once more to the gray morning of the Barovian dawn.
Amity wakes and her hand immediately punches forward to stab the icicle through it, But I think she probably ends up just hitting Erthrendir in the shoulder.
Ow! He, like, sits bolt upright. Amity, what the fuck?
Oh, God, sorry. Dream. Nightmare. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, no, fine. Sorry, just sore. It's not a big deal. You okay, lovely?
Yeah. I'll tell everyone about it later.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's probably more prudent. I'm gonna get 10 more. And he just leans forward and kisses her before just flopping back down onto the pillow.
Amity just lies down, her eyes open, just waiting for the others to wake.
And so they do. Eventually, your companions coming to consciousness not soon after you. Downstairs, Kiva having finished her trance if she chooses, and Metreon blearily returning from sleep. Upstairs, you can hear the sounds of faint stirring as it seems the Mardicubs are beginning to prepare themselves for the day. But the morning is yours. What would you like to do?
Aerith is, for the first time, going to sleep in.
As far as the gold from Fiona, who has that?
I think Lillison does, actually.
Yeah, it's Lillison.
Alright, so, once Kiva's up, she's immediately just gonna start, like, she's very nervously, like, fidgeting with her hands and, pacing a little bit, but once Lillison is awake, she's going to inquire about the money and about the purchasing of that armor. Like, straight away. Just because she, after everything, is nervous and wants to make sure that we're as prepared as possible going into a potential dinner in the future.
Lillison is still waking up, kind of rubbing at her eyes. She frowns a little bit and pats her backpack. From within, there's the sound of muffled jingling, and she says, "Armor would be a good idea, but the spell that Erthrendir keeps casting on you, is that better?"
I'm not entirely sure, if I'm being honest, but I feel like if I were Erthrendir going into a battle with Strahd, I would want to have as many spells as possible and not waste them on me, just in case we need them.
It's not a waste. It's good planning.
Okay, if you say so. I really messed up. I shouldn't have, I should be more careful with my surroundings, and I don't want... He almost got the Sun Sword. I almost gave it to him, and so I just want to make sure that I'm actually being helpful this time.
Kiva, you are the linchpin of our entire battle strategy as a group. I don't think you need to worry about being helpful. If you would feel more comfortable with armor on, material that you know you can rely on, then we can go do that this morning.
I think it might be good. I just... Because if something happens, then Erthrendir has all of his powers available, you know what I'm saying? And then it's not wasted, especially if I go down again. Do you know?
I understand. I hope that the money she gave us will actually go that far, though.
Do you think looking to up the prices in the aftermath of a catastrophe.
Perhaps, but we'll see if we can't bargain them down a bit if need be.
Morning, loves. What are you two getting on about? What time is it?
It's after sunrise.
Still too early.
Well, by all means, I don't think anything's coming after us this morning.
Oh, Kiva. Come here.
Are you going to take something from me? I really don't have anything.
Just...
He smirks a little bit, but she'll walk over. She's just teasing.
I'm like hungover, but it's like sugar hangover. I ate too much cake. Listen. I was thinking last night as I was moping about and dealing with having what's his face in my head, as I'm sure you can empathize with. When that happened the first time with you and Randy and Amity, I was a bit of a right shit. I thought you was foolish for letting it happen to you, and I just wanted to let you know I don't feel that way, and I know it was never your fault for doing that. Especially now, now that I've had him in my head like that, it's you're so strong, and even now, having woken up, I still feel him, and I don't know how to just push it out. But you've had it done to you twice, and you seem so strong and resilient, and I'm blathering about now. I just want you to know, if I'm a pisser, if I'm a bother, just let me know. But I don't. What happened to you last night? What happened to all of us last night? We didn't deserve it, and it doesn't change how I feel about you.
Kiva, there's just like a flood of tears that swims in her eyes, but she tries not to let them fall. And instead what she does is she takes the sun sword and she holds it. She sort of presses it into Metrion's chest and picks up his hand and puts it on it as well. And she just rests her forehead against his and just allows them to have this little moment of comfort.
Please don't turn it on, though. It's right under my jaw.
That wasn't the plan, but
Okay, all right.
Metrion, I meant what I said, and I truly think you are, as far as friends go, and I'm not the best, you are the best I've had, and I don't hold anything against you. In fact, I think you're part of the reason I can be this strong today. So, no harm, no foul, right? And she'll sort of like clap him on the back like a sports coach, and
Yeah. Yeah, cheers, thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go get a breakfast, coffee, or something. Yeah, you want something?
A little bit of that vitamin D, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that's anyway. Good chat.
Amity yawns and comes down the stairs into the tap room. She is wearing a black robe with these slightly too tight black pants.
Well.
Hello, love. Fancy what you did tonight, or last night.
Amity sort of looks from left to right, smiling. Good morning.
It's a good morning for one of us. Look at that. Is the old man still asleep?
I don't think elves sleep, but I know what you mean, and yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Did you tucker him out though?
Did I what?
Exhaust him.
Oh, Tucker.
Esmeralda sweeps over. Good morning, everyone.
The DM said, "Not today, not today."
Lillison just watches all of this in awkward bewilderment from the door, and she's like, I'm going to go see Ismark, and just like slips out.
Metron just silently raises his wineskin and winks up at Amity. And a girl.
During this entire conversation, when Esmeralda walks up, though, Kiva pointedly looks like the opposite. Like, look, that wall over there is so fun. It's a fun wall. I'm going to stare at that wall.
Listen, you find Ismark easily enough. He seems to be outside just doing some just warm-up drills with his longsword, just kind of
I bet he is.
going through different motions and movements, positioning from one stance to another. He glances over, just gives you a brief nod before finishing the form that he's currently going through, and then putting his longsword back in its sheath and leaning against one of the posts nearby.
Nothing you said in that entire little
I
description
cannot with you people.
better.
Oh god. Good morning. Were you looking to pick up where we left off, or oh god.
Yes, please. Weapons training.
Right then. Well, let me get a look at your stance.
Wait, I can't not. Can we just
stand?
We'll assume that Ismark. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone is able to get the breakfast that they desire, regroup in the tap room as they choose, finish up whatever activities they might choose to. At this point, you notice that the Mardikovs have begun, filtering downstairs. Erwin and Danica are making breakfast. The kids, seem to be a little tense from last night, but overall, the Blue Water Inn seems to be returning to, not normal perhaps, but a kind of quieter peace.
Yeah. Aerith's downstairs a few steps after the Mardikovs, yawning heavily, his hair in a mess, and wearing a brown and orange jacket with the collar popped up a little high.
Morning, what are y'all up to?
I was gonna go get that armor so that maybe you don't have to use all those spells on me anymore. Lil says she's got the money, so.
Great idea. Thanks, Kiva. It's not that I mind, but
No, look, especially with this station and where we're going next, I think you need to keep every advantage that you've got, and you're much better at spells than I think any of us. No offense, but I think it's better for you to keep them.
Nah, I mean, Amity's better than me. She's bet a lot of things, but I appreciate that. And here, and good luck. Hope you can find it decently priced. Pity no one in this town haggles.
She gives us a look over to Metreon, like, well, you're gonna come with me, right? Because I need the haggling.
Oh, of course, love. Wouldn't dream of anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Kiva and Metron are going shopping. Is there anything that anyone else would like to do during this morning, or shall we just assume that there is a general vibing going on?
Yeah, no, we're just chilling.
I was gonna say general vibing was last night. I'm sorry. You just
Okay.
This morning is about recovery.
We're passing through. Like
Okay.
ships in the night.
So unless there is any desire to play this out, I will say that you can find an armorer relatively easily.
Okay, and would it be the full 50?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yes.
either Lillison or Metreon, if necessary, could do a suggestion to lower the price.
Yeah.
Yes, well, let me know what you're looking to purchase. I would say that, just going off of basic numbers, you can purchase hide armor, which is 12 plus dex, maximum of 2, for 10 gold pieces. Studded leather armor, which is 12 plus dex modifier for 45 gold pieces, or a chain shirt, which is 13 plus dex modifier, maximum of 2 for 50 gold pieces. Given that your
Maximum of 2 stuff sucks because I have a 3 modifier. For
Yeah,
that.
get that
Mhm.
studded leather.
I expected.
Studded leather, yeah.
Is this after the Velaki markups?
No, because you were not at the Air6 dockyard, which means that the markups don't apply. This is just
Hey.
Player's
Nice.
Handbook, DMG. You towns of a certain size armorers. So,
Amazing. Yeah, does maybe Metreon want to try a suggestion, or do we just think leave it at
Well,
the 40?
now that we know that Lilithan can be subtle about it, I would say let's have her try it first, and if she doesn't succeed, then I will give it a go.
Okay, great.
Which one does Kiva want to go for?
A studded leather for sure.
I mean, if you
Alright,
could suggest that we just get sponsored, you know.
I think Lilson is going to try to get like a 50% off discount.
All right.
okay.
Do we need any
yes?
other provisions then? Because if we're like trying to get a bunch of stuff, then maybe we should like figure out like a bulk deal.
I mean, I'm not. They're not going to have a potion, are they?
They are not going to have a potion, I'm afraid.
Are they going to have warm weather clothing? Do we know
Yeah,
yet?
that's
that
You
we
do
need-
not. You do not
We
know that
don't
you need
know.
anything.
We don't know
no.
where the Ember Temple is.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess we wouldn't know until Casimir.
Wait,
Did
Dragnet.
Anne tell us about her dream with all the icicles?
She has not, I don't think.
Once everyone regroups, I will. Speaking of, is there like an hour free while Kiva goes shopping, or is it would be a lot shorter? than
Yes,
that?
I would say you have about an hour. If you'd like to
Cool, if I
conduct a
could
seance
just-
or something.
Like do a seance for, let's say, detect magic was really good yesterday, so let's just keep that
Alright.
rolling.
I'd say you could do that easily enough. Lillison, if you were looking to suggest, what is your suggestion?
Well, I'm sure that somebody like you would understand that we are working closely with Baroness Voctor to ensure the safety of this town, and I'm certain that you understand that this comes at a certain civic price.
All right, let's make a quick roll here. What is the DC?
DC is 15.
She does exceptionally well. Can it be glamored studded leather?
That is a natural 11 plus 0 using the commoner stat block. You are able to purchase your studded leather armor for, shall we say, 23 gold pieces.
Excellent.
Sex E.
You know, I would have tried to go for free, but, you know, I guess that's more diplomatic.
We'll allow this poor merchant to not get yelled at by their business partners later.
The compassion on you, I tell you.
It's less compassion and more leaving fewer very suspicious places where people can figure out what we're doing.
I mean, I figured it was much, but, you know, that's, I guess I was talking about your kind of compassion, you know. Less loose ends and such like that.
Okay then, so, with studded leather armor in hand, is there anything more you wish to purchase here, or will you be heading back to the inn?
I think for now we're heading back to the inn. It's not like we can purchase, like, wine, which is the only other thing we know we need right now.
Very fair. Alright, in that case, you make your way back to the Blue Water Inn, expeditiously enough, as Amity, I presume, makes her way back down from the chamber in which she had carried out her seance. As you enter the tap room, kind of joining your way around the area, you hear footsteps kind of hobbling and the clunk of the staff on the hardwood floor as Davian approaches the lot of you. Right then. So what's the plan for today, eh?
Well, I thought that Anthony had this lead with Casimir.
What? Oh, right. Yeah, that was my thought. With the invitation we got yesterday, I think we can presume the next time we go to the castle, we'll be welcome. We can use that But I think when we go, we need to be prepared for not coming back. So I think if we're doing that, we need every advantage we can get. Which means if we can dive into this place full of evil powers and figure out something important about Strahd or about the land or about stuff like that, then I think we take it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we find some other bigger evil to supplant him, and then, maybe we make nice with them.
If there's a bigger evil than him just hanging around, then I think this is going to break a record for most cursed plot of land on the planet.
Yeah, no, I was being completely facetious. I hope that it's smooth sailing from here on out.
Oh, no, same, but it was an appreciated bit of dark sarcasm. But yeah, what do you think of that, Davian?
He scratches his beard thoughtfully and then nods with a grunt. Don't seem like a bad idea. I reckon it's worth checking out.
All right, and this way we can check on Victor too. Hopefully he's alright. Well, I suppose there's nothing more we need to do here. Y'all want to get going?
Yeah. Shit, I forgot something.
What is it?
Should have bought a leash for this Victor kid when we was out getting armor.
I don't think that would be wise. I think he would look at you, look at that, and then probably turn it into dust in your hands. Or turn your hands into dust, one of those.
It's your responsibility, so keep him in line.
He is partially my responsibility. I would like y'all to look out for me, especially since I know he's got Lillison's spit suggestion.
Right, then we crack on?
Yep, let's roll.
Okay then. Together you make your way out of the Blue Water Inn, bidding the Mardikovs farewell, back onto Valaki's main avenue, and begin your way west, down the familiar exit from Valaki and out through its iron gates, into the slowly dawning light of mid-morning. Stepping out and passing beyond the rows of old abandoned cottages and shacks that line the exterior of the gates, you begin making your way southward along the small, winding trails that lead away into the southern portion of the Svalich Woods that encircle the boundaries of Valaki here. And as you travel this route, it's not long before you find yourselves emerging onto a familiar sight. The taller but pale green hill rising up above the surrounding clearing. The small hovels of the Dusk Elves built into the sides, and the familiar wagon trail leading up to the red Vistani tent atop the hill. You can see smoke rising faintly from the chimneys, as well as billowing up in 3 large columns from the central portions of the tent as the Vistani red flag flaps lazily in the misty air.
Just as a point of thing, Metrani is going to turn into the Valakian girl that he sometimes turns into, just so he knows that he's not super welcome here.
Very good. Alright, so is everyone heading to Casimir's then?
Yep, though before they enter, Aerith will hold up his hand. I will say, I'm fine with us all going in, but at some point there might be something I need to talk to him alone. Just pre-warning y'all.
Can you tell us what?
Oh, yeah, no problem. He wasn't exactly forthright with me about the nature of this place when we spoke first, and after hearing what I've heard from Godfrey, I want to find out why, and I think that might work better without an audience.
Do you think he's one of the wicked people who go there?
The what?
Wicked.
The wicked?
What, like cursed? Sure.
Oh, you've never actually heard that one said, have you?
Is it really pronounced wicked?
Yeah.
Alright, well, anyway.
No, it happens to the best of us.
No, I know.
But yeah, alright. For now, though, let's get this arranged.
Well, look, if you're giving us an out, I can go check in on Arabelle and see maybe if she's around.
Absolutely, but y'all probably should be there for the planning stages. I don't have to do those alone.
Okay.
You'll get to see her,
make it
don't
quick.
worry. Of course. And Aerith will rap on Cass's door.
Okay, as Kiva makes her way up the hill, I presume by herself.
Oh, I thought she was coming.
Oh
with
no,
us.
no,
sticking
she's
around.
Oh,
coming
she's
with
gonna
us
do that
for the
afterward.
planning, and
Okay.
then we'll go.
Gotcha. So with that, all of you together, you make your way around the other side of the hill to Casimir's small, comfortable home. And Aerith, you rap on the door. Wait a few moments, but there's no response. And then you hear the clattering of what sounds like bits of wood or logs or something from the opposite side of the hovel.
It's Aerith, dear.
There's a pause, and then you hear a voice. Oh, well, sorry, if you don't mind coming right around, we'll be with you in a moment. Casimir's familiar voice.
Aerith will do that a little quizzically.
Alright. Are you coming around, or are you waiting?
Coming around.
Alright. You make your way around to the opposite side of the small home, and there on the other side, you see, standing up against the edge of the hill, just out of sight of the main area, his arms crossed, Casimir, with his greenish-brown cloak pulled up over his shoulders, the hood casting its shadow over his head, pulled up over his ears and hair, looking over as Victor. Victor Volakovich mumbles to himself and brushes small bits of splintered kindling from his hands and palms, kind of grumbling to himself as you see like little bits of twigs and such kind of stuck to his robes and just looking very unhappy. You see a pile of rather disheveled looking logs kind of spilled haphazardly next to the shack.
Aerith stops himself from grinning, but only just. He hustles over. Cass, Victor, glad to see y'all are doing alright.
Casimir turns toward you and gives you a small nod. It's good to see you as well. And I hope he turns towards Victor, who looks up, his eyes wide. Yes, it's very good to see you. He shoots a half glare at Casimir. Are we done here? Casimir regards the logs for a moment. I suppose that we could stack them a bit more neatly later, but I suppose we've earned ourselves a break. Sure, let's join our guests. Victor sighs audibly, rolling his eyes, and then continues brushing off all of the little bits of twigs and bramble that have gotten onto his robes as Casimir steps forward and offers a hand to Aerith to shake.
Yeah, Aerith will take it. And, I believe you've met my friends, of course.
Indeed, it's a pleasure to see you all again. Please, apologies for keeping you outside. Shall we get somewhere a bit more comfortable?
By all means.
Excellent. He steps inside, Victor kind of trailing behind, mumbling and grumbling, as he opens the door for you and guides you inside to his comfortable little house. You pass inside beyond the sketches and beautiful artworks along the walls as he guides you beyond the vestibule into the main chamber beyond. There you see the familiar, beautiful tapestry of the forest upon one side, the elven deities in the other. He gestures toward you for you to take seats at the table. As, meanwhile, he steps forward toward the small, remarkably clean fireplace. The ashes kind of piled into a small bucket at the side. A trio of logs just resting off the side of him, begins pushing them in there, mumbling a few words, and then a bolt of flame zapping from his fingertip into the fireplace and setting them alight with a rather cheery reddish glow. He turns, as Victor just kind of plops himself unceremoniously in the armchair before any of you can step into it. Casimir gives him a searching look for a moment and says, "Right, well, to what do I owe the pleasure?"
Aerith holds up a hand. One moment. Steps outside. Checks for bats.
There do not seem to be any bats in your immediate vicinity. If you'd like, you can make a perception check.
15.
15. You don't see any bats, but you do notice at the top of the hill what seems to be a curious-looking Vistana who's just peering around one of the wagons, not making any overt movements, just watching.
Aerith scowls at her pretty visibly.
Metron
You're pretty
will
far
actually
away,
wait
but-
outside in his disguise, just kind of keeping view, making sure that nothing else comes up to the house to interrupt.
Okay. If you'd like, then you can make a... well, this would be handled by passive perception because it's over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So, stepping back inside, Casimir gives you an expectant nod.
Your proposal about the temple. We're in.
He nods and turns to Victor. I'm glad to hear. Victor, if you wouldn't mind waiting outside for a moment, just taking a well-deserved break. Victor groans. I don't have to fetch any more firewood, do I? Casimir shakes his head. No, I think we're all good on that. Thank you. Victor grunts and kind of shoves himself out of the armchair and begins skulking his way toward the door, kind of shoving the curtain aside, and you hear the door creak open and then slam shut behind him. Metron, you see Victor step outside next to you.
Yeah, he side-eyes but doesn't say anything.
Victor side-eyes you, but doesn't say anything.
Once he's out, Aerith lowers his voice and just like, how's he been?
Casimir holds up a finger for a moment and then just absolutely deflates. I do not have the slightest idea how a boy such as him, I understand that the younger races can mature somewhat swiftly, but he still has the attitudes, if nothing else, of a child. And, well, he kind of lowers his voice a bit conspiratorially. I must confess I'm somewhat grateful that I've managed to get the better of him in our first exchange, but it has been something of a trial to keep those reins taut.
Oh, did you now?
Indeed, it involved a bit of an arcane exchange. I'd like to attribute it to skill, but truth be told, he is surprisingly capable. I have more to thank to the element of surprise. I don't believe he expected someone capable of resisting his mage's wiles, shall we say.
Oh, I do say. That is very good to hear, Cass. Sorry. But, alright,
Nope,
well...
no worries at all. Just don't mention bunny rabbits around him. I don't think he would take too kindly to the reminiscence.
Aerith starts chortling. Right. All that aside, yes, we've come to a point in our lives and in our, shall we say, opposition, that the kind of knowledge we could gain at this place would be important.
He nods. Well, I'm certainly glad that my proposals intrigued you so. If you're hoping to visit the temple, I'd be glad to guide you there and share what information I know. If I might ask, was there anything specific that spurred the interest?
Aerith kind of looks to the others. Strahd.
We're trying to kill him, actually. So any dark, arcane, whatever sort of knowledge you have in your distant temple might be helpful.
He nods. Right. Well, I believe I can certainly assist with that. The Ember Temple is, well, a dangerous place to be sure, but a promising repository of any sort of secrets that one might be willing to search for, I hope. I've let you know that... Yes, indeed.
What do you know about him?
Well, I've only been there a trifling few times myself. Never been overly deep inside. The temple itself, it hugs the... Well, not the peak itself, but the slopes of Mount Gacchus quite tightly, so the elements themselves are the largest obstacle to most folk looking to make their way up there. You'll have to ascend all the way past Selenka Pass. Make your way past the Guardian at the gates there. And beyond that, once you manage to, assuming you manage to survive the freezing temperatures, the temple itself, well, as well as the other hazards at Mount Gacchus, there's a particularly colorful bestiary that lines the slopes. Not to mention, well, the mountain folk, berserkers of the Balinok Mountains, haunted as well. And of course, who could forget the fearsome rock of Mount Gacchus?
Please, Casimir, do not tell me you meant rock as in with ROC.
He sighs. My cards, as you can see, are clearly on the table here. Yes, I meant rock. 3 letters, not 4. Fortunately, near as I can glean, the bulk of its food source does come from Lake Luna to the west. But I would not advise exposing yourselves, or especially any pack animals, too long on that pass.
To be clear, these are the birds that grow bigger than some dragons.
Yes, I presume you're familiar with the kind.
I saw lots of pictures.
Indeed. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to haunt the pass quite so frequently, so if we're lucky, we should be able to avoid its notice. But,
and that's before we get inside this Temple of Ancient Evil.
Yes. Again, as far as I can tell, it mostly haunts the peak and the area around Lake Luna. But, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Regardless, once you get to the temple itself, again, I've only been there thrice. Inside, specifically, there are a number of different entrances to the interior. Specifically, there's a main entrance and a secondary one through cracks that have formed in the mountain walls. Near as I can tell, there's, well... In the main chamber that I found, I'm not entirely certain what it was, but the second I stepped inside, I was engulfed in a blast of unmistakably arcane fire.
Oh, are there folks still alive in there?
That's, well, it's possible, I can't say for certain. But there's certainly something unalive in there. You see, on one of the times when I managed to get a bit deeper, coming from an alternate entrance, well, I don't suppose you've heard of flame skulls before.
Has he?
Make an Arcana check.
23!
You have most certainly heard of flame skulls. They are the enchanted, long-dead skulls of mages and wizards, risen into unholy undeath, and gifted with great fire magic often to guard ancient places, tombs, temples, libraries of ancient knowledge and power for their mage and archmage masters against those who might intrude upon those protected places.
Oh no. That... yeah, the Thanes used to use those as shock troops on desperate occasion. Okay, so we have possibly wizards, flame skulls, which I know have the capability to cast fiery arcane magic. Anything else?
The only other thing I encountered, this was on a later occasion when I attempted to investigate a chamber The berserkers of the mountains. At least on one occasion, I did see them lair within. Admittedly, it was in the course of the sudden downfall of a blizzard. I imagine they were taking shelter, but I can't be certain.
Great.
Other times I visited, they weren't present, so we might get lucky.
So we have wizard guardians, flame skulls, angry berserkers, angry wildlife, some sort of gate you mentioned, extreme temperatures, and the single largest bird in existence.
Seems
Anything
like a
else?
cakewalk.
Does Strahd's twin brother live up there?
I certainly hope not. But, yes. His laugh is quite humorless. You can see why I've had not much luck breaching its defenses on my lonesome.
I'm surprised you're not dead.
Do you happen to know if the berserkers speak common?
Well, I've not had many opportunities to interact with them myself, but I would imagine so. From what little I've heard, the folk of the forest and the Ballock Mountains do have similar ways of communicating.
Well, if that's the case, then
Didn't those berserkers at Yester Hill speak it?
Yes, they did, with an accent, but still surprisingly fluently. And if that's the case, then I'm much less afraid of those in the mountains than I am of, for example, the skulls of ancient wizards throwing fire.
Yeah, that's not ideal. We're strong, but I think we all know there's only so many fireballs we can deal with, and by so many I mean one. Well, I suppose nobody has said this was going to be easy.
Yes.
Did you see any owls up there?
Owls, can't say that I did, no.
How about... have you heard of the fearsome jackal?
Jackals? No, I've not seen any sort of beasts or animals there. I don't believe there are any jackals in Barovia.
Alright.
Wait, this is from your dream, right?
Right, I'll fill everyone in. Once we're... I guess everyone's here right now. And
Yep.
recounts the... Sorry, did Ertham have something to say?
No.
Ermity recounts the events of her dream. Icicles, stone corridor, owls, statues with glasses, hands clasped together, pure warbling darkness. Extremely cute young jackal. So if there's any sort of details that look like that, well, I'll have my eye out.
Casimir is already nodding, his eyebrows raised. Now that is... I would imagine you certainly seem to have a truly prophetic gift. You should value that. The darkness you're describing, there's a... I didn't have much time in the chamber, but from what I could glean from a distance, there was a strange cloud of it, deeper in the main entryway. I couldn't quite make everything out. I had to flee before, well, I could accomplish much of anything, but that much I do remember, that cloud of darkness. I could feel it watching me.
That is exactly what I felt.
Long shot.
So hopefully there's a way that avoids that.
Has Aerith heard of anything that sounds like a jackal? If they don't live in Barovia, then there's anything that would look like one.
Make an Arcana check.
18.
I mean, you've heard of a species called jackalwares, jackals that could take on the form of humans. There's almost like reverse werewolves in a way. That's the most you've thought of, though.
Could be a jackalware, though that seems a bit out of the way. Well, regardless, that's good thinking, Amity. So, okay, with all that, here's a question. How do you know that there's information there?
He gives you a nod. I've had, a long time to try to gather what information I may, you understand. It's been a long time in Barovia, and I've tried to dig through a lot of different holes, uncovering anything that I might be able to assist with my own goals. You understand, well, I might have mentioned my sister.
Katrina, yes.
It was in the effort of uncovering ways that I might be able to help her that I came upon this.
Understood. But I suppose that doesn't answer my question. What you've just described sounds certainly like a repository of death, probably wizard things, but do you have anything to go on for there being something valuable there, besides just, the presumption that they wouldn't bother protecting something if it wasn't valuable?
He sighs and nods. Overall, to my understanding, the temple itself contains quite a great deal of power. It's my firm understanding that there is a way in there that can manipulate undeath and death, perhaps the ways between them. That's why I seek to journey them myself. I find a way to restore what I've lost, and, well, given that Zarevich himself gained power over undeath in the way that he did, I think the conclusion's rather inescapable. Given the powers that linger there, and, well, I can assure you that when he first arrived in this land, he was quite entirely mortal.
I suppose
whatever happened to him to make him the man he is today must have happened within this valley. And the Amber Temple is the only place I know where there's that kind of lurking power.
Logical enough, I suppose. Well, in that case, if everyone's agreed that we're doing this, then I think we've got some work to do. You wouldn't happen to have cold weather gear, would you?
He frowns and shakes his head. No, I'm afraid I personally don't have much need for it. And you can see he seems to be stroking a ring on one of his fingers. That seems to be a small golden circle with what seems like a carving of two Arctic foxes curled up together.
Well, unless you have 10 more of those, or all of us pour as a alchemist fire on ourselves, we're probably going to need to do some shopping.
Right. That's understandable. In that particular case, when were you hoping of meeting up to set off?
Depends on how long it takes to get a hold of this. Have y'all think we could get this in Vallaki? Doesn't seem like... I suppose winters here get cold, but maybe not to this degree.
You see Ismark and Irina exchange looks. Irina raises a hand. Well, there do sometimes come to be harsh winters in our village. We didn't bring anything with us because we didn't think that we would need it, but it's not unheard of for there to be cold seasons in Barovia.
Have you got any at home?
She chuckles a little awkwardly. You might have noticed that we didn't have much left in the way of belongings by the time that we left.
Point taken. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But
All right.
if you're looking to find something in Vallaki, I think it's worth a try.
Then in that case, I think... How long does it take to get to this place, Casimir?
Casimir nods. Well, if you're looking just to get to the gatehouse at Selenka Pass, I reckon that'd be a fair few hours. It's around... around 7 miles or so, and then from there... It's a bit longer up all the way. I'd reckon going off of memory, as Dragna checks his notes. Less than a full day's travel. I reckon 6-7 hours. You'd probably want to take a tent or something to just winter up there for the night in a safe place.
Ooh.
But,
Unfortunate, but yeah. Alright. Well, if that's the case, then That's probably priority one, because if we can't get cold weather gear, then this is done before it's begun.
You know, there's one thing that I do have a bit of a concern
Lawson?
about, though, that I would welcome your advice on.
What is it? But I believe my friend was saying something.
Yes, Lillison first?
Oh, I was just saying that we still have more than half the gold that Baroness Wachter gave us. We can certainly see if we can cobble together something that will keep us warm enough.
Wait, how do you still have that? Studded leather's expensive.
We talked a lot about the vampire that we got rid of and how grateful they should be to us.
Insight. That's a 12.
I mean, technically, it's true.
You're attempting to deceive. Make a deception check.
12.
Yeah.
Does Ty go to the offender or the defender here?
Lillison sets
think
the DC, you met the DC, so what does Earthrendeer learn?
That Lillison probably means what she says literally, and there's probably something else there as well.
He puts his forehead in his palm for a moment. Alright, not asking questions. Well, that's good to hear, though. So, we can head back and do that. And what were you saying about the additional difficulty, Casimir?
Yes, it's not something entirely personal, but it perhaps might be something you could help or advise on. And his gaze goes toward the exit of the cottage. You see, as I mentioned, I've been able to keep Master Velakovich on reins as best I can. Truth be told, he does remind me of another powerful, if troubled mage I once knew. But to leave a young man of that level of ability and talent alone for a long period of time, I'm concerned of, well, what he might get up to.
Yeah, likewise. But there's nowhere else for him to go. We're not in the best position with anyone in Kresk. I wouldn't put him with the Mardikovs, and Barovia Village is very far and also not safe. So, damn, I didn't think of that.
And beyond that, if you're doing what you think what I think you're doing, and your purpose for coming here, and we're successful in finding what I'm looking for up at the temple, I would prefer to find some other kinds of arrangements for him, because, well, given that you seem to have quite an interest, as you once told me, and he nods toward Kiva, in taking the vampire down. I presume at some point Castle Ravenloft is in your crosshairs?
Sooner rather than later.
Ideally.
Good. Then in that case, if you wouldn't mind if our venture is successful, if I accompany you.
Look, the
Of
more the
course.
merrier. If you're offering, we'll gladly take your help.
Yes, please. That'd be... Casimir, that'd be... Oh, thank you. That is a hell of a person to have on our team. Thank you.
He shrugs. I confess it's not entirely altruistic. As I've mentioned, my sister dwells, her body sealed in the catacombs beneath Castle Ravenloft, in one of the tombs there. If I could find
Cass,
her,
I
I
don't
would...
care if you're doing it to get rich. You're still helping.
Well, I suppose I do have a certain desire to see the vampire destroyed. I'm
Well.
certain that so long as he lives, not a soul in this land will find any sort of peace, least of all myself and my sister, so... Should we prove successful, and should you be able to assist me in continuing that venture that far, I don't see why our goals wouldn't align further.
Well,
Perhaps it... Oh, go ahead.
Amity kneels on the ground. All hail our new beloved teammate, Casimir.
Casimir looks very awkward and unsure how to receive this.
Amity sort of laughs it off.
I think
One
you
step
might...
at a time, I think.
Yeah, I think that might be double digits. That's actually impressive. Huh.
Wait, are we taking Victor with us as well.
Yeah, Kiva looks over at Lillison and just says, very carefully, we do have a safe place where he can go. We can furnish him with supplies. And look, it's my intention to go to the castle and come back, so if we tell him that, maybe it is a good place for him to be.
We can give him the choice. We can even color the choice, saying that his other choice is to go up a very, very cold mountain where a very large bird might be waiting to eat him.
And also going to a very large castle with a very hungry vampire. So
I was
if I were
assuming these
him-
are two different things. I'm alright with bringing him with us, if only to wait outside the temple. I am not okay with bringing him to Ravenloft.
I think he would want to wait outside the temple if he knew what was inside. I think if we emphasize the mundane, boring hardships of the climb up to the Amber Temple, then he might be more inclined to take the alternative, but it would mean a great deal to me if he had a choice.
So we'll give him one. We'll give him the choice. And look, we're going into a place with a lot of unknowns and a lot of danger, and if what Casimir says is correct, and I'm sure it is, he is another danger to have with us. So we'll give him the choice, and we can even give him an honest choice, but I'm going to at least keep my fingers crossed that he takes the alternative.
If you wouldn't mind, can I be the one who speaks with him?
Kiva gives her a look like, oh, thank God, because I am not going to be the one that talks to him.
Please, I can give you any magical aids you want or don't.
She nods slowly.
Well, I think that's us settled then. We, Lilson, asked Vic the question, and then I presume we'd want to probably start this journey. Presume we can get the clothes tomorrow morning. That way we're not traveling late.
What time of day is it right now?
Right now, it's, it's still around mid-morning, maybe approaching late morning.
No, another night of rest and food and all of the strength that we can muster is good. Lil, I can maybe help you with some more sword fighting later, and we'll rest up because this is going to be a big, big thing.
And we can go ahead and get all of the warm clothing today, and perhaps, Casimir, you could also tell us a bit more details about the route up?
He nods. There's not much to tell. It's a bit of a stark route, but it'd be my pleasure to lay out what I can.
Very well then.
Right. If you don't mind my asking, what exactly was your expectation for where the boy would go? There aren't many safe places I would have in mind in Barovia, but perhaps you've stumbled upon something I haven't.
Kiva looks at Earthrendir almost in like a can and should we trust with this information?
Aerith catches her side eye, hesitates for a moment, and nods.
There is a tower by a lake, and Lake Baratok, correct? Is that the one that it's near, or is it near a different lake?
Don't remember, but it's northeast, northwest.
Regardless, there seems to be some sort of magical force field. Once you're inside the perimeter, you can't cast spells, and it seems like no spells can enter. It's a little bit dilapidated, but there's comfortable enough space, certainly enough for him if he chooses to stay there. And as far as safe places in Barovia go, we've spent some time there, and well, nothing terrible has happened.
Casimir nods, stroking his chin. I suppose that could work out if you're able to supply him with the proper provisions. I do believe I'd heard of the place. I thought that it was falling apart, but if you were able to reside there comfortably, then, well, it might not be what he's used to, but I suppose with some finagling, we may be able to sway him.
I will tell him that it used to be the abode of a great and powerful wizard, which it was. So.
Well, I'm certain that might intrigue him. You might even get me out of having to make good on my promise to eventually share with him one of the spells in my spellbook.
Which one did he want?
I haven't told him what I have, and he's welcome to imagine it. But so anything I can do to prolong that inevitable meeting of the minds would be most welcome, Miss Lillison. And he gives you a nod.
She nods back, smiling a little.
Well, thank you, Casimir. We'll get to all that. And, if you don't mind, would you mind having a word in private as we filter out?
He nods. Of course, not a problem.
Okay. And eventually Aerith will pull him aside.
Alright. Is there anything else the others would like to do while they're here, or will they just filter out to where Metreon and Victor are waiting?
Arabelle, 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 Arabelle.
Yeah!
Okay. So, Kiva, you make your way out with the rest of the group and then begin making your way up the hill. As you do, Erthrindir, you are left alone in the cottage with Casimir.
Alright. So, Aerith waits till everyone is done. And once the door's shut, he says, so, a few things. First, I would like a little bit of my tea back. I've realized I've gone too long without it.
Not a problem. I'd be glad to give you a bit of it, or whatever you desire. It was yours in the first place.
Thank you. Second, you say your goal with this visit is to find some way to bring your sister back.
He gives you a very somber nod.
That's interesting. 'Cause recently, I visited the Dragon's Manor, and there was an order of Knights Revenants who we met there that told us that they had been tasked, at all costs, to keep people out of this place because of the ancient and untold evils that lurked within. Now, I'm not an expert, and who knows, there may be a rod of resurrection sitting in some wizard's study waiting to be used, and if so, no one will be happier than I. But if I'm not wrong, wizards typically don't have the means to cover this sort of thing. Divine folks do. Which means whatever you'd be looking for here, especially in a place like that, might be, well, not exactly wholesome.
He sighs. I understand your concern, and frankly, I may not know its full history, this place. But what I do know is that the life of my people has dwindled as far as I care to see. After the slaughter that betrayer wrought upon us all those years ago, if there's one thing left that I can do with my life, it's make good on the mistakes that I've made. But the biggest mistake I ever made in my life was letting my sister die. Katrina deserved better, and I know that there are risks. I can't say for certain what's waiting on the other side of that veil, but whatever might happen to me at the end of this, I've made my peace with it long ago. I'm not asking you to follow me all the way to what I'm looking for, just far enough to get me there.
At his mention of his biggest mistake...
Amity is not in the room.
Oh, fuck. Is she not? Where? Okay.
Nope. Aerith and Deer is
well,
alone.
Amity's picking some flowers.
Alright. I can't tell you where that weight should reside. I would be a damn hypocrite to try. But I will say, you know as well as I that if you want to make good on what happened to her, then what's more important than her body, and I know how crass this sounds, is making sure her soul's free. Do what you will, and if you find something that allows you to bring her back without risks or danger to your own mortality or soul, then Casimir, I'm going to be taking it alongside you, because there are a lot of people I need to see. But if you can't, or if there's a price that needs to be paid, then promise me you'll remember that once this vampire's dead, she'll be somebody new. You won't have her back, but she'll get to be somewhere in the world. Katrina will be again.
He gives you a nod and a small, sad smile. Wanting to set her spirit free of all the torment she's been through, all the weight of these years is all I ever wanted. And gives you a small nod.
Be careful. And Aerith will head outside.
Okay. And with that, as you head outside and as Kiva begins to make your way up the hill to meet Arabelle and perhaps otherwise socialize, and as the others regroup outside of the small cottage where Casimir remains inside, I think that is where we'll end it for today.
Well then.
That was eventful for not the reasons I anticipated, but it sure as hell was eventful.
Guys, we're going on a ski trip.
We're heading to, chill place. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's basically like Barovian Aspen.
We've got 11 people in our party. Nothing bad can happen.
How many sets of warm clothing do we need?
10.
Well, we only need like 5.
Yeah, and that's for the immediate group of us. The rest, and I of course.
Well,
NPCs don't take exhaustion. Everybody knows that.
Exactly. And I mean, Ismark's chest is hairy enough that he's going to be warm, and Kiva's going to be clinging to Esmeralda for warmth. So, I mean...
Right,
Ez could just sit in her wagon in her fucking thermonuclear bomb.
Halfway up, like Lilith's gonna be taking off her warm weather clothing, just being like,
Flex on the haters.
Oh yeah, she could just give it to Irina. There we
Right,
go.
yeah, she doesn't need it.
and then we get inside and she gets fireballed to death instantly.
Yeah, that's on the mind.
Everything works out.
If you only need to make a check after like 1 hour in the cold, can we just take one coat and keep circling it around?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. That's a loophole.
Exactly.
Amity, can you polymorph yourself into like a really giant, big fluffy woolly mammoth that we can all just kind of hide under?
How about the giant kangaroo? And
Oh
we
yeah, even better.
Perfect.
I'll put you all in my pouch and then just like hop up the mountain.
straight up the mountain.
And then get into a fight with the rock. It'll be great.
Yes.
With all of us in her pouch.
Yes.
Let's go full
cheering
Toho.
Just like popping up out of the pouch, firing off a spell, ducking back down, getting 3/4 cover.
Yeah.
her on. Perfect.
Love it. All right, well, I think that'll be all for today, y'all. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining us for today's session of Twice Bitten. As always, we will see you not next week, but the following week, I believe, back here in the Mists. And, well, until then, do try to avoid accepting too many dinner invitations from strange old vampires. And we'll see you next time.